Dude, I do find it so funny with this chick's husband who is like cross-dressing
Yeah.
with like giant bimbo tits. That like the Democrats are just full on doing the like, oh my God, you
That's
freak, you
amazing.
cross-dressing
That really is
freak.
amazing.
It's so great, man. It's so good. It is just the thing where like for years and years the conservatives would use like libtard language to be like, you are the real racists, like all these things,
Yeah.
like etc. And now it's just like, yeah, no, based. When your enemy starts adopting your own frame to try to beat you, that is like the number one bull sign of all. Like the most bullish thing possible is if your enemy starts trying to adopt your modality of fighting to beat you,
Oh damn
you've
it!
like won.
This was
It's
the
over.
thing that I
It's
wanted
so
to
over.
like Lucas and I brought this up in the conversation. I thought this is so damn funny when we were talking about this in the pre conversation about all the bull signs of this, like the signs we're winning, and they're all like just the most horrible things. Like the sign we're winning number one is like all of like the antisocial personality disorder people that like wanted to like go out there and just piss people off and tweak people, like the Richard Hananias of the world. All of a sudden they switch from tweaking the left to tweaking us. So that's like oh, thank God
That's
we're and like
true,
we're winning
actually.
now, and we're winning.
Oh, we're winning! Like, I love this. This is all the ankle biting giga have come to like piss in our
Oh, thank
replies
God!
forever.
What a
This is
victory
amazing.
we've won! It's fucking wonderful.
And then the other one is like all of the most like deranged
Women.
antisocial women
Yeah.
have pivoted sides, and they're now trying to appeal to like the
Yeah.
right wing subcultures. And you're like, dude, we got
We're
the
winning.
BPD women too. We have the antisocial ankle biters. We have the BPD women. Like, we
Please,
can't
That's true.
stop
That's
winning.
true, actually. Like the
You
fake
said
trad
we'd be
wives.
tired of winning, and I am tired of winning. Please, please,
I
I
am
can't
so
take any
tired.
more winning.
And welcome back to another episode of Plausibly Deniable, sponsored by Polymarket, Zcash, Citizen X, and Network Press, featuring beloved X poster Covfefe Anon.
I think COVID is like the big litmus test where like if COVID didn't make you realize, I appear to be like being wildly lied to on literally like a daily basis about like what is true or what isn't true. If COVID didn't like make you slightly doubt things, I just think it's totally over for you. That's like the
especially the
big one in my
whipsaw.
mind.
The whipsaw change that they went from one day to the next, right? Because I saved all of these. I saved all these, and
Dude, people forget the left used to tell you like don't take the Trump vaccine. It used to be called
Bro,
like the
I
Trump
was
vaccine.
spurging out about masks in January. I was buying up
Yes.
all the fucking N95 masks because I saw
I did
posts
that
from
too. I bought the
4chan.
masks.
So did-
man.
so
Yeah,
did
that
I.
was like
I-
the logical thing, right? Because you didn't have information. You didn't know.
Yep.
There was like the only information I had was like I was seeing all these videos of like random body bags in China
Yeah.
and people being like cemented into their homes in
They were
China.
like
and I was
welding
like, oh.
Chinese people into their apartments.
They
It's
were
so-
just
and you're like,
welding people.
there were
Dude,
maps.
China is just like the ultimate like man-made horrors beyond your comprehension. It's like imagine a quarantine, but they're actually physically welding you into your house so you can't leave. It's just they're so good at this stuff, man.
And the other thing is like this is a type of thing where people are like, "Oh, that was fake though." Like they weren't real. And it's like, dude, but the thing is, I wouldn't even come up with that fakely. Like I can't even
Yes.
create a fiction.
I would never imagine like yes, dude. It's just you have to have like this like twisted, fucked up mind, you know, that is like a product of the Great Leap Forward of China to be like, yeah, so we're gonna fake weld people into their homes to convince the West that the world is ending. It's like what the fuck do you mean, man? Yeah, I bought like food. I
yeah.
bought water, dude. I thought it was like zombie apocalypse. I thought the world was
Yeah.
like ending.
Yeah,
Dude, I
same.
went epic prepper mode. I bought all of the fucking meat from all of my local groceries. I had basically like because I was also living in a very small town at the time. So when I'm saying like I bought all of the N95 masks, it's like there's two stores. Like there were two stores that had these masks, right? And they were both like they're selling construction and farming apparel. I literally just bought all of them. And then at some point I was forced to accept. I was very demoralized and I was like, it looks like it doesn't do anything to me. Like it looks like the masks don't matter because I'm young and healthy, and so I will never get to do my like weird war LARP. So I went and I just gave them to everyone at work, right? And I was like, "There's a lot of old people here. Here's the masks. I'm sorry, I
Most of
stole
you are
them.
not gonna
I
ma-
stole
most
them
of you
2
are
months
not gonna make
Most
it.
of you are not gonna make it.
But
Nevertheless,
maybe this mask will save one or two of you. Meanwhile, and I'm going to read a tweet right now from Vox in February 7th, 2020. The coronavirus exposes the history of racism and quote unquote
Dude.
cleanliness.
Oh my God, remember that? What a crazy time, man.
Yeah.
When
Remember
there was
when they
this
would
concept
actually
that like
say
you
that, like,
couldn't be like, there's a crazy virus in China. Maybe we shouldn't allow people from China to come into our country.
Hug a Chinese. I'm going to go down to the Chinese New Year parade and I'm going to hug a Chinese person was actually one of the other things. Like they literally said that. They were like, they are always wrong about everything. It's amazing.
Dude, peak libtardism was actually like it was just insane. It was an insane period of time for the human race where people were tweeting out all of this like ridiculous shit about just like the woke language in general. Anytime any problem happens, you're like, and here's why this impacts black people more. Right. And here's why this is racism. Right. And here's why like hurricanes are actually like African injustice or some stupid shit. And it's just like an infinite torrent of this stuff. And if you didn't pretend like it made sense, there was like 50% of women that would say like, yeah, like we can't have sex with you. Right. Like we're taking away your like having sex pass. I was talking to like all of my young college friends during what the fucking black picture
Black
thing
Lives-
on Instagram.
the
Like, if you
black
didn't-
square when you put,
yeah, if you didn't post the black square, and like all of them were like, yeah, bro, my like entire roster bailed on me because I didn't post the black square, and I was just like, what? Like, and I was in like a normal relationship, fucked off in a small town at this time, and I'm like hearing about this like
relationship though, Lucas. Really,
I was actually in the most normal relationship that you
Dude,
have
Lucas
ever
was the
seen me in.
most like turbo normie guy ever, man.
I had-
Somehow, like, despite all the crazy stuff he got up to in college, Lucas somehow like wound up being like a super normal guy right after.
oh no, I think
Yeah.
Lucas is normal. I just haven't heard of Lucas ever being in a normal relationship.
No,
That's
this was actually like this girl, I think, was trying to reconstruct what my ideal of normalcy was and pretend to be it.
Well,
And
that's
she
nice
did
of
like
her.
she did a pretty good. Well, the problem for both of us is that isn't what either one of us wanted.
Oh, okay.
So I clearly wanted to date a man, and she was trying to pretend to be a normal woman. So everything just spiraled from there.
Please tell me you wanted to date a man in the Sam Hyde sense of, oh, you want a woman who shares your interests?
like a platonic male, not like like the platonic ideal of a male in a
man,
woman's
right.
body, of course.
Lucas
right?
is getting like
okay.
dangerously close to being gay, where it's like this asymptote of like Lucas is like homosexual, and it comes ever closer to like actually being gay. But somehow, much like Lucas and all of his male relationships, it never touches. You know,
It's just it's like the euphemism for being gay. Oh, he prefers the company of men, and Lucas would be like, yeah, obviously. Oh, don't we
Like,
all
why would
prefer the
you-
company of men?
You'd have to be a retard to prefer the company of anything but men. Like, you prefer women? Like, what are you doing with them?
Well, what are you doing? I mean, women, gorillas. Like, what are you talking about? Of course, he prefers the company of men.
That's equivocating like hanging out with women to like hanging out with some sort of strange wild animal that you can't communicate with. Like, what, you like hanging out with lizards, bro? Like, I don't know, dude.
What the fuck?
Doesn't make any sense. So no, I was having a very normal one during this period of my life, and I was just sitting there watching all of my friends, because this also, like, I just made it out of college before the COVID stuff just like destroyed everything. And so I'm like, wow, like the specific age period that I am in, like we actually kind of did turbo luck out, because we got like the internet was introduced to our lives. I became like a hyper online person, but not like at age 2, right? Like I had an ability to like form like a semblance of a prefrontal cortex and all of that. And then we had an actual life. Like we had a period where there were no phones and shit at parties, right? Like there's a picture of me at a high school party where I am like, I am dressed up as a nurse, and I'm face down in my own vomit while my girlfriend, who's wearing a Pikachu costume, is like kneeling on my back, like doing like a Japanese peace sign, and it's like a Polaroid photo, right? And like this is like an actual, like it's a 2000s meme memory that I have. I lived through this, and then everything disappeared. Like all of society disappeared. We decided, no, you can't go to college anymore. You have to do like remote work during COVID because there's like a flu. And so you can't have sex, guys. And then also we're doing George Floyd. So like the women, you used to get along with them just fine, but that's done. You're going to be like entirely oppositional towards each other. Like everything that happened after I got out was just like, it's completely over. And I'm consistently like, dude, like you can't make fun of Zoomer guys in any way
No.
that resonates to me, because every single thing that made every guy before them remotely normal just got fucking grenaded. Like
Yes.
as soon as we left, like we pulled up the ladders on them.
It's funny because it's like man who thought the ladder was pulled up on him finds out
It's like,
that there is
oh my
still
God,
more ladder to pull
there
up.
was yet more ladder that we did not understand, dude. Like it can get worse. It's the consistent meme too of like, you're like, dude, if we just accelerate hard enough, we'll hit rock bottom
Oh,
sooner
no.
and it will
No,
reverse.
no,
And
no,
it's
no,
like, no. There is no rock bottom.
There is no
like,
rock bottom.
There's no bedrock. It just
Yeah.
keeps going down.
Well, that's what I think about, like these people who like, speaking of bring it back to the singularity. That's a lot of what I think about, like the singularity, and like people are like, oh, we're gonna reach post scarcity when things are so cheap. When it's like, do you not have like no idea? Like right now, hunting spears are as cheap as you could possibly imagine, but you don't need or want them anymore. And that's what you want now will be cheaper in the future. That is a guarantee. That does not mean post scarcity is a reality.
This is kind of a boomer take,
Sorry to
man.
be
I'll say this. Like, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I do think part of the problem is that, like, I had a tweet about this, that, like, there's a certain type of guy that every time, like, a young person is like, this economy seems pretty unlivable, they're like, but look, man, a TV is so cheap.
Oh, yeah,
Samsung
yeah,
television,
yeah. No, I agree
52
with
inches,
that.
$300. OLED. Oh my God.
And it's like, I just imagine that
No,
guy
you're
lives
right.
in like a quarter of a studio apartment that he shares with like 3 Asian immigrants.
Yeah.
And there's like 5 TVs. He's on a quarter of a healthcare plan, you know, like.
Yeah.
And it's just like the problem is that all of the things that have gotten cheaper are basically nice to haves, and then all of the things that have gotten more expensive, not only have they gotten more expensive, but they're also crappier. Like,
Yes.
you know, you didn't used to need to have like 50 forms of insurance for everything. Like, your car insurance is a trillion times more expensive than it used to be. You didn't even need to have it in the past. But like, now not only is it more expensive, but like you probably aren't covered for the things you want. Like,
Yes.
they're somehow they have managed to like jack up the prices 10x, but also give you a 10x shittier product. And it's just like that with everything, right? Where it's like it's also the meme about like you have to be your own doctor, or otherwise a doctor is like going to give you statins and kill you.
But also,
or
you need to have your
be
own.
your
Like,
own
this
mechanic.
is the shitty part. You need to have an actual doctor, but then you also need to be your own doctor, right? So it's like
Yep.
you're getting rugged on the
it's in the
payments
worst-
for
it's
the
the worst of
real
both
doctor,
worlds.
but then also you have to go home from your doctor visit to like look up everything about your personal health problems, and then the next time you can only mediate them through a doctor. Also, like, you can't self-medicate in any capacity, even though you care 900 times more about your own
Yeah.
problems than any doctor ever has, unless you have like a top like 99.7th percentile doctor in the country, right? So like, you spend more time, you spend more money, and you still wind up having to do it yourself in the end anyway. So the whole economy is structured like this. It's the same thing with like contractors now. If you want to like fix your house, like I recently just did some home reno stuff and they left, and I was like, this is like 6th grade level contractor work here. Like, I have to like redo half of the finishing on this stuff
Well,
just because.
you have to be like the project manager, and you have to basically like do a specific job that you wouldn't have done before, that you wouldn't
Right,
have had
like
to done.
I
Yeah.
have to become a Renaissance man so that I can
Yes.
oversee like retarded immigrant laborers as they fuck up my bathroom, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's just insane.
Yeah. But like, because it's the combination of we've become poorer in ways that are invisible, and it's there's no way around it that it's actually poorer. Like, that's the thing about the contractors, right? We have more of a parasite burden, which is about what's going on in healthcare, because, like, I guarantee you the doctors are not like, wow, we are absolutely fucking rolling in the money now. Like, I don't think that that's the case, right?
That reminds me, I should go buy ivermectin.
I think the doctors
I
are
have a
rolling in
tube
the
of
money. I just think the problem is every single person is scamming every single person. So like, even when you're the one doing the scamming, there is like the game theoretic probability is that like someone is going to scam you in the future. It's like you give someone a handshake, you know, that like one annoying kid who like always like tried to like squash your hand in the handshake. And it's
Oh, yeah.
like, I don't want to squash your hand, but I know that if I don't do it to you, you're going to do it to me because that's the type of person you are. And that's just the whole economy now, where it's like, maybe there is
Yeah.
a mechanic who like genuinely doesn't want to charge your wife $50 for air, but like he understands that like he is not going to run into the dentist that isn't going to like lie to his wife and tell his wife that like
Yes.
she has 18 cavities. And so he has to sell your wife the $50 air.
Yeah.
And we're all like engaged in this hyper
Yeah, and we're
cycle
all
loop
worse,
of like
and we're worse
scamming each
off.
other.
Like, gee,
I mean, isn't
I wonder why that some countries are shittier than other countries. You know, if that has
it,
something to do with it. And like,
isn't
the
this
people
just
we're
like we're
importing.
doing the low trust society meme?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just low trust society, man. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just a
What are you
different
gonna do?
equilibrium, and you just have to you have to live with the different equilibrium, and it's I mean, I guess, look, the thing is, it's we live in a low trust society because at every individual point in the way, it was beneficial to import low trust people because somebody got a specific benefit out of it, right?
I'm a big believer that like there's this concept in economics that like more liquidity is always good. And I just think in like almost every social situation, this doesn't pan out. Like having more dating options is probably bad for the median person, probably leads to
Oh
less
yeah,
marriages. Moving around a lot means like your social network gets fractured. Having 50 plumbers instead of 3 means that like everyone tries a different plumber, and now every individual person knows like whether one plumber is good or bad, instead of like a town where there's just 3 plumbers, and like very quickly you figure out which one's the good one and which one's the bad one. And so I think in a lot of ways, also, it's just it's even older than the like low trust society thing. It's like the
well, it's
cities are the
information.
root of all sin, right?
It's informational asymmetries, right? It's lack of
Yeah.
it's no lack of ability to track reputations and such. Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
always this thing too of like I don't know, like you increase the liquidity, you increase or you make things more frictionless, I guess, right? And it's like everything is now more efficient. But like the result of increased efficiency appears to always be just everyone becomes a number and we're doing optimizations towards like a specific checklist outcome. Like the reason
Yeah.
that everyone is using like the checklister type person as an archetype now is because they exist now in a way that they really meaningfully did not before,
Yeah.
right? Like the average person was not doing this like, oh, well, I'm dating this girl, but like she's like good at XYZ things, but like these 3 columns she's bad at and she's worse than my last girlfriend at. And like women are probably worse about this than guys are even actually.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't know. It just turns everything into like Excel fuckery, man. And like I don't know what the escape from it is.
I mean, yeah, I don't yeah, I don't know what the escape from it is either. I mean, I think that the problem starts at the top, and the problem starts with one, you're importing low trust people, and you're importing people from low trust cultures who are bad cultures because they produce bad outcomes, and that's why people want to immigrate here, right? Why would you want to move to a different country if your country was adequate and was actually a good place to live? And why is your country a good or a bad place to live? It's because of the people that are there, and it's because of how they live and how they interact with each other. So it's you can basically never benefit from immigration as a whole on a broad scale, because otherwise they wouldn't want to move to your country. Their country would be better than your country, and you would want to move there. Well,
That's a
maybe
really
not.
funny. That's a really funny like it's impossible. It's impossible to benefit from immigration by definition.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely the only exception. And like historically, there's an exception. And the exception historically was like there were a bunch of European countries that had like a lot of upheaval that was like not really inherent to them, but like they were still able to build like decent societies that, you know, that you'd want to live in. Like, where do we take a lot of people? We took a lot of people from like Germany, and we took a lot of people from Italy and Ireland. Like, these are not bad places to live. They were temporarily in a bad shape, and we took a lot of people from there. And then people took the lesson from that immigration was a good idea. And it's just
I can't believe Covfefe Anon is living out on the Italian and Irish question. It's over, man. It's over. A conservative really is just a liberal from 40 years ago every single time.
Well, my joke is always that like my most well, I have two that I say about this, but like one is like my most libtarded opinion is that like our Anglo-Germanic king should have a med advisor so that he doesn't get like conned by low trust people or like
This is my Italian that I use to interface with the scammers.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
This is my Italian that I have as a liaison to the country of
This
India.
is my aligned scammer who
like
protects me from the unaligned scammers.
You're every Trump. I mean, look, Trump has been in like the New York real estate business for his entire life, so he's well aware, and he knows exactly how to deal with that situation. But I was going to say, like, your every Trump has to have a Stephen Miller, you know, or it doesn't work.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
You know, a big part of my issue with the whole like descent into absolute like zero trust retardation thing is there's always some guy that's like, you know, I can tie this back to the
it's a skill issue, bro.
Yes, it's the George Floyd Square thing, right? Like every time I tell the story
I'd
about,
love to know how this is getting George.
yeah.
Floyd.
So every time I tell the story about how like every single guy I knew in college told me that they had girls on Tinder or what I think it was Tinder at the time, like just stop hanging out with them because they didn't post the square. There's like, dude, but like if you were like an epic Giga Chad, like they would have just like power fucked so hard that the girls didn't even care that they didn't post the square. And it's like, I guess, man, but like we're dealing with like a social trend. Like it's the thing that people frequently get mad at girls for, where they say like, yeah, like Asians are good at math, and they'll be like, well, I had an Asian math teacher who was a fucking idiot. And you're like, dude, like I guess, but like your random like n=1 anecdote doesn't really like it doesn't super help us here. And this is the same way the guy bragging about how he power fucks so hard that he could post it, like it doesn't matter for the other 95% of kids in the generation that we're discussing.
Have you named this on the pod as what you call this school of thought?
The just fucker good bro theory.
Just fucker good.
Yeah,
bro.
this is the just fucker good bro theory. And like the end state of it, which is the problem, is like you effectively cannot leave your wife alone for more than like 48 hours. And like that's just not a workable like it's just not really
just
workable,
picturing
man.
like there's like a drama, you got like the fucking countdown.
There's a timer, and like as it gets closer, like
jumping 3 minutes. I've got to get home now.
We should give the viewers a little bit more background for this phenomenon, right? So the idea is basically that like anytime there's any discourse about like, oh, what do you want in a woman, right? Should she have this or this belief set? Should she be this tall? And like, there's a type of guy that's like, none of that even matters, bro. You just gotta fuck her good. Doesn't matter if she's a commie or if she's a conservative. None of this shit matters. You fuck a woman good enough, and she's gonna be whatever the fuck you want her to be, bro. And it's like, this is exclusively a type of rhetoric that's appealing to like a 23-year-old guy who just got his first serious girlfriend. Maybe she had like political differences with him. And he just like, he's like, yeah, man, I like.
Or it's like a sleazeback 35-year-old who like has never had a long-term relationship. And
or it's just some completely delusional old man who's never actually been loved at all. And he's just like repeating random shit.
And the problem with this theory is that like, you have like the top guy, you have like your Tom Brady of the world. Yeah. And it's like, he obviously should not have allowed her to fucking go to Pilates. Like, the second your wife is like, hey, man, I'd love to do like jujitsu with like a male trainer. The second she hits you with that one, you just got to serve her with the divorce papers right away.
By the way,
you got to get out ahead of it.
You want to hear?
Dude, you've got to serve her with a fucking rocket. You have to serve her with like orbital, like the OpenAI GPT lasers have to instantly.
thrown it 78 miles an hour is what you hit the server with. But like, do you know that jujitsu instructor was? Do you know who else went to that same jujitsu instructor?
Yes, I know
later?
because I tweeted about this.
Yeah.
I said, "Dear Mr. Kushner." I tweeted like an extremely long letter telling Dear Mr. Kushner, Ivanka Trump is going to the exact same Pilates instructor that Gisele was going to. You got to get a handle on this, man. And like this was right after he'd done like the Abraham Accords, and I was like, you, man, who united like the Middle East, you cannot let yourself get like cucked by some Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor. You have to be better than this, man.
No, but like you have okay. So every single guy when pushing this theory, right, will just say, "Yeah, bro, like you just if you ever have a problem with a woman, it's because you just haven't fucked her good enough, bro." And the reason that I say that they're all like 23 years old is because at some point you're going to have to go on a trip for like a month where you don't see your girlfriend, right? And you're
Yeah.
going to realize that your magical fix everything button of just fuck her, it stops working because you're in a different country now, right? And so a lot can go on. Like a lot can go on in your life when you leave
It's
the
also
country.
just it's also like the mark of someone whose like ultimate and only aspiration in life is like to have a wife, and that's kind of it. Which like
Yes.
is fine for some people, I guess. But like if you ever want to accomplish something ever, you will at some point have to take like 48 hours away from your wife.
Right.
And if
You
your
cannot
wife
always
like
be having
has
sex
a
2
48-hour
times a day.
timer on her, that's not good.
Like you
That's,
just
like,
can't.
really
You
not
just
good.
like I guarantee you. I'm sorry. Like in 10 years, you're not going to want to still be fucking her 2 times a day. You're not going to have the time. You're not going to have the energy. You're not going to have the zinc content in your serum bloodstream. Like it's just not going to be something that makes sense logistically. And this solution is going to become more and more ridiculous to you. And you're eventually going to say like, huh, like I'm spending like a solid 10 to 15% of my waking hours fucking this woman to maintain like an equilibrium.
This is what I mean
of,
about like the Lucas homosexuality asymptote. Like it gets really close. It doesn't
gets really
quite hit
close,
it,
but it doesn't quite
it's
get there.
certainly getting closer by the day.
I mean,
Um,
the funny thing is, like, Lucas is saying that, and I hear and I feel it right now in the back of my head. I'm like, oh, it's tempting to say, oh yeah, well, you can't do that. I could fucking do that. Like, it's so fucking tempting for every guy to just say that, and it's just because it's like you're like,
But
well,
even if
fuck
it's
you.
true, even if it is
Yeah.
true, and like you are going to keep the energy, I just think there's something very depressing, and it's like ultimately, I think I would like to believe, and this is just the like men are the ultimate romantics thing, but it's like I would like to believe that there's something more tying her to me than like a 48-hour cool down.
it's then a cervical
right?
orgasm,
Like
right?
I
It's
would like to believe that there's something like it's not like it's not like my fridge where like if I haven't closed it in 5 minutes it starts beeping at me and like annoying me, you know? Like I would like to believe there's like something greater than this that
Oh,
is
gosh.
tying us together.
I wonder if there's some
Um,
relationship between not being bothered by the smoke alarm chirps and not being bothered by a woman who hasn't been fucked in 48 hours. I wonder if there's some relationship between those two things.
Yeah, I think that's a thing, and then it's like you see this happen to like Tom Brady, and then it's just like,
Yeah.
man, it is just
And Brad
like,
Pitt, and yeah, I mean,
yeah, I mean, obviously, again, I think these people live in like this celebrity subculture where like telling your wife she can't have a male jiu-jitsu instructor is like you're literally Hitler, bro.
Yeah.
Which is obviously like stupid, and there are like preventable things, but it is just extremely backpilling to be like, yeah, man, like this is just the way it is. And I even spoke to someone pretty recently who's like a very base guy, longtime poster. You know, I won't name any names because I don't want to dox, but longtime poster, like was back on the like Heartiste, you know, comment section way back when, and he's like, yeah, man,
I
that's
was
just
there.
it. He's like the one perk is that once you get married, you graduate from 48 hours to like a week. And I
Oh,
was like,
okay,
dude,
good.
that's just the mad. That's like the biggest black pill ever. That's like love is like that's like love is fake to me. And he's like, no,
Yeah.
dude, it's fine. Like you just learn to deal with it.
Well, the other problem with all of this too is that like the vast majority of the guys that I knew from 4 years ago who were saying like,
Oh yeah.
Just fuck her good, bro. Like it'll fix everything. Just fuck her good." They're all fucking divorced now. Like all of them are divorced. Like they are the single most divorced group of people that I have ever met in my life because this theory just breaks down so rapidly. It's like you have 3 to 5 years at the fucking pico maximum, and then it just like you're like, "Oh yeah, I guess I should have thought about the fact that maybe I'll leave sometimes for a weekend, or like maybe it won't be logistically feasible, or maybe I'll just lose the energy. Like maybe it's on my end, right? Like fuck, like I should have realized I was a 23-year-old retard and she was my first girlfriend, and I thought I would be this attracted to her forever. Oh my god, like I'm an idiot, right?" And
Yeah.
it just like it keeps appealing to new eras of 23-year-olds because it's this self-aggrandizing belief that like you're
Yes.
so good at fucking that you can like make a woman do whatever you want because you're such an epic sex god, right? Like every guy wants to believe this, and for every guy this can be true for a period of time.
For a period
Like
of time, yeah.
for every single guy, yeah, for periods of years, you can do this, but just for whatever reason, there's a decay function on this, and it just appears to not work indefinitely, right? It works long enough for you to get some kids out of it, and then get trapped in such a situation that the divorce is super hairy. But it does not work to keep you together for 20 years.
Well, and the other thing is, even if it works for like you, let's say you're a top 1%, fucker, right? Like even if it works for you, society does not society should not be set up in such a way that, oh, okay, so the top 1% of men can actually have a marriage and like have kids and like be able
Yeah.
to raise them in a stable situation.
Yeah, like
And it's-
everyone should be able to.
everyone
have
should be
that,
not. I
right?
mean, not necessarily everyone, but like
But like
enough
a good
people.
80% at least
Yeah.
wonder why we live in a low trust society where everyone's like
Yeah.
trying to scam each other. It's like, yeah, man.
Well, that's the other thing. Is like the tweet that like Ayla tweets like, oh, I've either dated guys who lived in a fucking tree house or have been multimillionaire CEOs, and then you wonder why like everybody's like, well, I've got to make it as a streamer and be a multimillionaire streamer, or my
From a
life is
treehouse,
fucking
yeah.
worthless, or my life is fucking worthless. So like it's not worth doing anything other than smoking weed and playing video games. And fuck, I absolutely hate men who go after men for like, oh, these kids smoke weed and play video games. Fuck you. It's society that broke down and they're reacting to the incentives around them.
I do think
Dude,
it's
that's the biggest thing. Like all of my interest, once I like had a meaningful job, just all of like not all, but like certainly like 80% of my interest in video games just evaporated like overnight, instantly. It is just like it's like a productivity sink, right? Where
Yeah.
like I don't know, your Minecraft house gets bigger or whatever. I was never like a Minecraft guy, but like your Minecraft house gets bigger and it like satisfies like a caveman itch in your brain because like you don't like your real life situation, I think.
I mean, Factorio is the ultimate in that. If anybody's a Factorio player, I mean, you're literally
Big
building.
Factorio fan.
Yeah, I mean, you're literally building like a factory of like, how it produces things, and you're like working out like the details of like your logistics setup. I mean, it is the most work-like game you could possibly imagine. Like you could imagine somehow hooking it up like through like an AI, so that way like there's a translation of you doing this game stuff, and then the AI translates it and it optimizes some like factory. Like, and it does it in real life. Like you could imagine that existing. That's how like analogous it is.
I've never played any of these things.
Of course not.
I was a big Minecraft guy, and then as soon as I learned about like whoa,
Girls?
dude, like no, it was just forums. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
like hobbyist
Right.
forums. Like when I was very young, I was on like a bunch of machining forums, and I made it was all like goofy hobby toys and stuff like that. But worked with like an Australian company and made yo-yos.
That's pretty
when
cool.
when I was like 12, and then also
There was a
big
big
into
yo-yo
audio.
trend. There was a big
I was-
yo-yo trend at one point. Yeah.
No, there was a pretty decent. Yeah, it was good. It's a
Yeah.
good community actually. Very, very. I don't know how it is now, but at the time it was very devoted. Young
I
artists.
guarantee you one particular group has taken over the yo-yoing hobby community. I guarantee
It's
it. I
it's
bet.
probably just Chinese. Yeah, it's probably 100%.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I think it's 100% Chinese, frankly. Like all of the just because if I think about like manufacturing a yo-yo right now, it's something that like Chinese economies of scale would
Yes.
allow to happen.
Yes.
at basically zero cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also really like
Also,
audio
China would
stuff.
take like 30 embryos of kids that have like the most hand dexterity at like, like 6 weeks of gestation and just train them to be like the fucking goats of yo-yoing because some Chinese official got it in his head that
In
they
his
need to
head,
do
that
this.
it's a symbol of national prestige.
Whenever the Chinese discover like a new sport that has not yet been saturated by anyone with any skill, they're just like, yeah, so the next like 5,000 gene babies, just optimize them all for this thing, right? Like, and they're like, well, but like, what's the benefit for China being the nation that conquered like yo-yoing? And they're like, I don't know, but if we just conquer every single sport, like it surely must benefit us at some point, right? And then they're like, okay, run it. And then they print off another 5,000 gene babies. And now yo-yoing also is Chinese.
This is kind of like the openness camp thing we talked about the other
Yes.
time, except
Yes.
it's even funnier because it's like they're trying to do openness camp, but they like don't quite get it. So they just like look at the Olympics, like they look at these like very literal like sources of like achievement. Yeah, pretty funny.
Yeah,
not
that
good.
openness.
I don't
I
know, man.
love the openness camp meme. That was so good.
It is
Staring-
happening though. That's the extracurriculars. Like
Yeah.
openness camp is already happening. It's just like there was a bunch of kids like where I grew up. There was like this one girl who did like a bunch of wells in Africa. Like she doesn't know where any of these wells are or anything. Her parents just paid like $25K to some like African NGO, to some company that is like instead of like build a bear, it's like build your kid an NGO to
Build
get
your
them into
kid a
Harvard.
well.
Yeah.
That's actually
It's
really
just
funny.
like, no, these exist. These exist 100%. It's the same as like the people who would get you on the rowing team, and then your first week of freshman year, you quit. It's the same thing. It's just like a slightly more expensive thing because like at some point somewhere a well has to be built, right? Like
Well, maybe.
presumably.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
Africa.
maybe.
It's
Maybe
an
it wasn't
African
being built.
organization. Who the hell knows? Yeah.
We could disrupt this with AI. We could be both ends of the K-shaped economy, Lucas. This could be our new venture.
That's
We'll
actually,
get your
yeah.
kid. We'll get your kid into Harvard, and also we won't actually build any wells.
Dude, okay.
Africa.
Speaking of charity, which I've been an outspoken anti-charity advocate. I think everyone on this podcast can agree. Fuck
Yes.
charity. Fuck charitable contributions unless they're to a foundation that you own or
Yeah.
have some association with and are using as like a financial capital laundering
a way to
vehicle.
give your kids and your grandkids a job.
Well, because the problem is,
Yeah.
if you're not doing it, then someone else inside the charity is doing
Yeah.
that inevitably, right? That's like
Yeah.
the problem.
So anyway, we can all agree fuck charities, right? But there's a recent post where this girl was telling us how much she made on OnlyFans, and in the same post, she's saying that she made like 250K or something in like a quarter of a year. And then she's talking about how she's using this money to sponsor like a child in
In
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh.
And I think when the phenomenon that I talked about earlier about how my brain instantly warps into the mind of like a young recent graduate who's been failing to get a job and he sees this post. Like when I read this post, I just instantly felt like total resentment for society as I was running my 22-year-old graduate simulator. And it was just like, this all has to be destroyed. Like this person is they're profiting off of the sexual frustrations of like random men in a way where they're not even solving the problem, right? Like,
Yeah.
This is the problem with OnlyFans versus prostitution, is like prostitution actually does solve the problem of like men
Yeah.
have a sexual need that needs to be filled, right? Sending pictures of your asshole does not do this. Right? There's no need that a man has biologically for a picture of a woman's asshole. It's like it's the meme of the Beatles fucking the glass bottle, thinking
Yep.
because it's reflecting UV incorrectly, they're like, oh, I'm fucking this bottle and it's gonna give me a wife, bro. I'm gonna get all my little Beatle kids if I fuck this bottle hard enough. It's not real. So the whole idea that you're going to sell any sort of like digital porn or whatever is like it's just antisocial because it doesn't solve any problem in society at all. It
Yeah.
just launders money from one group to another via some sort of obfuscation layer.
But
So-
the joke is that even like she's the glass bottle to the guys who are doing it, but also her getting on OnlyFans is like a glass bottle for female instincts too. Because like the
Yes,
female instinct, the female instinct is like, if I get the attention of lots of men, one man will drag me off by my hair and then take me home and then chain
and
me
then
up and
provide
make me a
for
wife.
me. Yeah.
Provide for me and like he'll impregnate me. And like, so it's actually glass bottles all around.
So everyone is just getting completely hoodwinked by this thing.
Yeah.
And then the result of it is like men are sending money to a woman who is then sending it to a Bangladeshian child, right? Like this just has to be destroyed. This is the
Yes.
dumbest use of capital ever. Like if you
Yeah.
say the point of capital is to incentivize outcomes, right? What the
Yeah.
fuck are we incentivizing here? We're
Well,
we're raising Bangladeshian children. Like this is like it's foreign aid, but we're paying taxes and laundering it through like random women posting their assholes. Like it just makes no sense. And the guys doing it too are like, yeah, whatever.
Well, okay, so there's a classic essay by Umberto Eco about what the nature of fascism is, right? And it's a great essay, but he's saying that one of the beliefs that fascism and proto-fascism has is that the purpose of society is making war, right? In some vaguely defined way, you have to struggle, you have to like have war, but like reality, yeah, that's actually not necessarily the entire purpose of society, but that's sort of the purpose of having a capitalist economy, of having like a free economy where you trade things, is if you go into a war and you have an economy that doesn't actually produce things, like the Soviet Union couldn't produce things well, and it couldn't like market and couldn't correctly sync up demand and supply, and so it didn't produce things efficiently, and so they were unable to maintain this military machine that they had. And whereas the United States had a freer economy and was able to do that and is still able to do that to an absurd extent, so that means that the only things in your economy that some things you should just not allow are just things that just short circuit like the human instinct, like drugs. Like, just why are you letting people pay money to consume a product that just makes you short-term happy and doesn't actually produce any benefit and keep you like on the treadmill for benefiting society?
Right. I mean, it's also
Yeah.
like if
It's
you're
the
thinking
same
about
thing.
running a country, you have to somewhat think about it like a company, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, would you let your employees dick off gooning on drugs all day? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, no, right? And like,
Yeah.
you can say, oh, a country and a company are totally different, but it's like, I mean, not really.
They're not
Like,
totally different. No.
you need both of these things to proliferate themselves and to produce resources, right?
And
Like
to
if a
produce- yeah.
if a country does not reproduce, your government is now suddenly governing nothing, right?
Right.
And just getting BTFO'd in some war, right? And it must
Yeah.
produce resources or else the same thing happens. So like there
Yeah.
is like a minimum viable baseline where like below this, you're not a country anymore, right? Like if
Yeah.
the US GDP goes down far enough, eventually we will cease to be a country through some mechanism or other, right?
Yeah.
So all of this kind of needs to be kept an eye on, and we're doing things that are very much so not keeping an eye on it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the beauty of the market is that people are quietly incentivized to do things that are pro-social, and a whole bunch of products hijack the idea of pro-sociality of the market and outcomes, and just produce like, yeah, they're just like they're wireheading products, like looking at pictures on OnlyFans of girls gambling on sports. I mean, gambling on sports is I
This
find
is
it
also one of those
entertaining.
things where,
Yeah.
like, there's a certain type of guy that's very in love with the idea of capitalism, and it's like I don't actually want people to be well off. Like, I just want capitalism, but then he's not even really sure what capitalism is. And this is one of those things I've been like tweeting about a lot lately, which is like in a lot of ways, China is more capitalist
Oh,
than the
100%.
United States, right?
Yeah.
Like in China, you don't have to build disability ramps for people everywhere. You
Mhm.
don't have to you don't need a woman on your board the way you do.
Yeah.
You don't need a BLM day. You don't need all these things in ways that you do in the United States. And these are enforced, like, whether they're enforced in some odd way by market mechanisms or not, like, the fact of the matter is China is much more capitalist in the platonic sense of the word capitalist than people think it is, right? It's a huge narrative violation. It's like if you look at the graph of like the goods that have gone down in cost over time, literally every single one of those goods is like produced in China. And then you look at like goods that have gone up in time, and it's like every single one of those goods are produced in like blue state America. There's just this like type of person who is very in love with the idea of capitalism in some strangely defined sense where like capitalism is whatever we have now and you have to defend it. And I think it's just a huge misunderstanding that like even Adam Smith was like, hey, there's these ways in which the market breaks down or the invisible hand of the market is not perfect. You know, there are legitimate roles for government. And like one of the classic ones that we were talking about earlier is like information asymmetry.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you are selling your customers like a car and that car breaks down, one of the most legitimate uses of government is to put you in jail because your customer doesn't have time to figure out which car is fraudulent and which car is good. And so there's just a ton of things like that where, you know, I think people online get caught up in these really like abstract conversations and don't realize like, hey man, I'm not like some commie who hates you.
Yeah.
I just think we could be doing things better. Like it's pretty stupid that it's incredibly difficult to fire certain types of people or like, you know, all these crazy lawsuits. I think the other day there was like some woman who was fired by some private equity firm because she was only working like, you know, 10 hours a day or something and then like had protected Sundays. And it's like, dude, that's just not the deal. That's not the deal at these companies. And one of the
She
most
was only
important
working
things
10 hours a day? In a capitalist
it's
society?
like private equity. That's like just the way that's the trade-off, man. You make a quadrillion dollars by the time you're like 28, but that's the trade-off.
Yeah.
But it's basically freedom of association, and it is just like this is incredibly important. And the idea, like people talk a lot about socialism or communism with Chinese characteristics, and one of the phrases I've started to say, and I need to actually write a blog post about it, so it Purdue's, like we've been talking about earlier, but capitalism with American characteristics, which is like, you know, it's like the opposite of socialism with Chinese characteristics, where it's like, oh, it's socialism, but not really, you know, there's like market signals and, you know, things actually get produced and people don't starve. And there is a possibility for some version of private property. And certainly China's capital markets are much less capitalistic than America's, right? Like if Xi thinks your company is like bad and making too much money, he shuts it down. But I think there's like a strong argument to be made that like maybe someone should have shut down OnlyFans. Like maybe OnlyFans is actually not a good thing and it should be shut down. And there's like a very simple thought experiment, which is like, okay, what if we take this to like some far extreme? And I know Lukas is going to say based at some point in this analogy, but like I imagine there's a company that like instead of live streaming, you know, like amateur pornography, live streams like amateur murder, you know? And it's like, is that a good thing? Like, where exactly do we draw the line? And so I think that can be useful.
Well, I mean, wouldn't the
like,
obvious?
okay,
I'm actually not going to say based. I'm going to say like, well, you fucking idiot. We would draw the line at the live streaming
crime.
of whether the thing is legal or not, right?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that where?
yeah, but like even like a lot of porn stuff is extremely the grounds for legality of a lot of the porn stuff is like much thinner than people realize actually. Like famously, there's this like when the Supreme Court says like you're not allowed to put porn in certain places, one of the immediate first questions is like, okay, what is porn? Like define porn. And famously, the decision is like, I'll know it when I see it. Like this is famously
It's literally
the decision.
it is. This is the most. Dude, this is the funniest test of all time. It's called the prurient interest test. And like this was actually genuinely one of the most, I'm probably going to have to bleep this out.
A lot of like the system we live in is based on a series of like judicial decisions that were taken at some point in the post-war era. And it's actually very new. And this is also another thing I think about a lot is like the whole from the American Revolution to like the modern day is like 5 human lifespans. Like it's a quite fragile system, you know. This isn't like a thing that it's run for like, you know, 1,000 cycles. Like this is run for like 5 cycles, and the current iteration has run for like half a cycle. So when people say like just have a normal one, it's like I just think it's like extremely incorrect argument. But
well, that's the old
what
joke
I was gonna say is like
people say that they're people say that, you know, I hold the beliefs that up until the French Revolution was just the beliefs of every like right thinking normal person. And
but
the French Revolution
the French Revolution feels
a
long time ago to people.
But
I think
it's not that much
250
longer
years
ago,
or whatever. Yeah,
I mean, the French Revolution
like
is more recent than the American Revolution, right?
Yes. No. And I think you're 100% correct. Yeah. I just think the problem is when you say 250 years, that sounds like an insurmountably long amount of time versus when you say like, you know, you say like 3 human lifespans, right? 240, like, you know, 80 times 3. Now it seems like, oh, like this doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem like necessarily all the bugs or quirks in this have been like patched out.
Yeah.
And then you consider that like post-war and a lot of like, you know, Roe v. Wade or like disparate impact or, you know, what have you, like these things have less than a human lifespan on them. And then these things also weren't like systemically abused up until the last 20 years or last
Yes.
30 years in most
Yeah.
cases. Like technically these things were kind of
Well,
allowed,
you
but
had
like if
people.
you got too out of hand, people self-policed a lot more. You
Yes,
know?
because their sort of their mental model of the world was based upon the old framework of rules and not the actual rules as they are. You're like, no, you
Yes.
can't do that, and like people didn't think why you can't do that. Like now,
Yes.
like everybody takes a dog into the supermarket, right? You see this everywhere, right? Everybody's got to like takes their dogs into the supermarket, and even 10 years ago, nobody would take a dog into a supermarket,
Yeah, there wasn't a
even though
law like you can't
no,
take your dog into the
but
supermarket.
the
It was just
law,
understood.
well, the law was always that you could take service dogs into the supermarket, and then if anybody hassles you, you can just say it's a service dog. And 10 years ago, no one would do it because people would be ashamed. But now you realize that no
It's
one
just
can
the
actually
Indian.
stop you.
It's like the Indian wheelchair thing, where like every single
Yeah.
flight to America from India is like 2 hours late because every single person is disabled. And then it like they arrive at JFK or they arrive at LaGuardia or they arrive at like Miami, and all of a sudden they all spring out of the wheelchairs and can get off the plane
Yeah,
first because
everybody
they've
gets
magically
on the
been
planes in
cured.
wheelchairs. The one picture I saw of that, I think it was flights to and from Puerto Rico, which was just everybody getting on the plane was in wheelchairs, and then everybody
Yes.
getting off, then nobody getting off the same flight was in wheelchairs.
Yeah, it's just very very stupid.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, and just the problem is like the only way to fix these problems is to make an example out of people. And you know, in the modern world, we can't make an example out of people because we worship victims, right? We
Yes.
worship people who have like the big man is beating down on them.
Yeah.
And the other problem there is that's hijackable because you only find out about the people who cry about it, and not the guys who are just like,
Yes.
well, it seems like this is an unfair situation, but you know, I'm just going to
Yeah,
take this on my shoulder
we
and try to
incentivize the
shoulder
crying.
on. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Um,
The thing is, though,
yeah,
you're saying
it's rough.
that like the enforcement, it's funny because you're talking about the enforcement. The enforcement is very much like, oh, how would you enforce getting rid of OnlyFans? And the answer is like, it's the same way you would enforce like how did they enforce getting like every single like right wing or racist website off the internet? And they did it because those really did violate the state religion, and
Yeah,
OnlyFans
they
doesn't
violated the real rules and not like
Yes.
the written rules. I
Yeah.
mean, I think the way you would get rid of like OnlyFans is you would say, you know, OnlyFans is porn, and you know, I'll know it when I see it, and like an OnlyFans link is not something you can have on a website. Like you can't link to porn without verifying that the user is 18, right?
I
Or at
think
least
it's
like
just
the user giving a
I mean,
consent.
I'm
I,
not.
I
I'm
mean,
not
there's
so
a
much
ton of different
anti-porn in
ways.
general. I mean, I'm not so much anti-porn in general because I think, like I said this to Lucas actually in a group chat today, where it's like he said, maybe porn should be illegal. I'm like, I don't. Lucas, you didn't say that, did you? Or that was part of the
I think it was
discussion?
literally Saila. I think we're
It was me.
recreating an
Yeah, I was
exact
like,
situation that we had.
not illegal, but like
Okay,
certainly
here,
much
but
harder to
before,
access.
But
before
my
we
position,
continue down this chain,
yeah,
I would like to go back. While I went to get a coffee, but I had this playing, and I could hear you guys podcasting in the background. I heard you guys talking
you're like the
about therapy
audience.
dogs. Yeah, so I heard you guys talking about therapy
Mhm.
dogs, and I wanted to make an addition to this conversation, which is that so there's actually nothing that says that you must get a therapy dog certified, right? So
Yeah,
when you walk into a restaurant with a dog, right, you can just buy a harness that says I'm a therapy dog, right?
yeah,
Uh,
service
you
dog.
can even
Yeah,
do this with a cat. You can do
yeah.
this with many animals. And somebody says, is that really a therapy cat? Like, are you? That seems pretty retarded. I've never heard of a therapy cat. You're like, well, look at the harness, right?
Yeah,
And they can't say like, well, show me the papers because the papers don't exist. They've
right.
never existed for any animal. So like I know a lot of people now, and we're talking about like the descent into like absolute low trust society. Everyone is a
Mhm.
scammer, right? Like I know a lot of like fairly upper class people now that just bring their dog everywhere by claiming that it's a therapy animal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because the joke is, but the thing is, what I was trying to say is that that's a cultural change, and that was the legal state since 1990 whatever, when they passed the amendment to like the Americans with Disabilities Act. That was the legal state from that point on, and it only got quote unquote discovered when everybody started abusing it now.
And you have the people abusing this shit are not like that's been the big change for me witnessing in my life is like before there used to be a scammer class that it's like, well, duh, this person is scamming. They're just like, that's what they do. Like this person was born to scam, right? Like it's in their blood. Even if they had $1 billion, they would keep scamming because that's just what they do, right? Yeah. And now it's like you have these scammers that are like, this is like an upper class white family from like an extremely nice neighborhood, and you have like these moms are developing like kleptomania and just like stealing shit from stores just like compulsively. You have these people like abusing government benefits programs that like they're like, yeah, I don't know. It's like I'm probably actually losing money based on the amount of time it takes me to file this every fucking month, but like what the hell, man? Everyone else is doing it. Like, I'm gonna meet up with my friends and we're gonna talk about like all the dads are tilting out and doing the same thing. I don't know. It's just completely zero. And now we're getting okay, well, Saila's gone now, but we're getting back to the how would you outlaw porn type thing. And it's like I think it just has to go through this same mechanism where like there can't be any law, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't like pass a law it has to be just like you go around to everybody and say like, okay, listen, we're in a cabal and we're banning this thing somehow, and I'm gonna figure out what your capital flows look like, and I'm just gonna you're just getting kneecapped if you don't make this shit go away, right? Like you're just it's over for you.
I know that I'm focusing too much on the narrow question. It's just I hate the idea of saying we should ban porn. And I know that there's like a lot of like that's a thing on the online right. Oh, we should ban pornography. I think pornography. The problem is I think the real problem is just that like the marriage market is broken and women should be married and not single.
I do agree very strongly that like I don't think the actual problem is that guys are like jacking off or whatever. I think the actual problem is that men are paying money to a woman who is not reproducing a child or society for them and doesn't know they exist, right?
Yeah.
Like this is a broken system because it basically means that your country cannot continue propagating itself.
Yes.
This is very much so the men fucking the glass bottle.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Like it is socially, and I think it's socially destructive, but I think there's a distinction in that sense between like porn and between like OnlyFans and like, I mean like OnlyFans
everything changes so much when money is involved, right? Like it's like, okay, guy jacking off, like, this isn't building society or whatever, but it's like, it's not misallocating resources in the same egregious way. In my mind, at least, right?
Yeah. So the answer is make it illegal for women to be single rather than making porn illegal. You know, I mean that's really like sort of like what the legal regime was up until like not too many years ago.
That probably is true.
Yeah, I mean, like not in an
wasn't
open
around
way,
then,
but like not in an open way, but like in a way that everybody understood, in a way that like it was like, wow, okay, you know, that's my life is going to be very difficult for me if I don't have a husband.
I think the internet just opens up all sorts of these really goofy scaling problems too. Like streamers are kind of a similar thing, right? Where it's like you have this guy who he's basically opted out of the workforce, and he's now realized that he can go and like put on like a banana costume and like shit on himself in the middle of the road and get like 1 million views or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's like obviously there is a person who is streaming and they're making money because they're likable, smart, funny, etc. But the problem also is that this other person can just compete by shitting on themselves, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, it is just like a suicide market. Like you are, there was a crypto company that allowed live streaming, and everyone just instantly started racing to the bottom of like who can do the most insane thing, who can do the most extreme thing, which is obviously what's going to happen, right? Because you do the most extreme thing, you're streaming for your coin goes up, so you make money, holders make money. So eventually, some kid just kills himself on camera, right? And I think it took like a week or two to get to this point. Like it was really fast.
It took a week or two. My God.
Yeah. It was like extremely fast that this happened. And you just would have predicted that this was going to happen if you look at how the incentives are unfolding. And like this is just what the internet does to scaling, right? But it's just this insane intensity multiplier on everything, right? Like if you don't have the skill, you can also win in the arena by having the balls or by having the ability to humiliate yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that just breaks society.
I mean, in a lot of ways, yeah. But that I think is a little confined. If you have people, if it's a market for entertainment, that's like kind of okay. Like, people need to be entertained. That's part of life, right? It's it's different
Ah,
when you hijack a sexual instinct, I feel.
I
Because
I
like,
don't I think it's like you're hijacking an instinct in both cases, right? Like people like watching these. I'm okay. What I should get back to here is my global classification of gooning as like a term, right?
hmm,
Where like I don't think of gooning as just like literal masturbation. I think of gooning as like anything that you're doing to like elevate dopamine levels completely unproductively, right?
yeah, yeah,
So like watching YouTube shorts is gooning also.
Yeah, I was just saying it's like wireheading, right? Like this
yes,
concept of like, hey, we'll
yeah,
we'll arrive at the future, and people have always been worried about this from like science fiction, like, oh no, what if we discover like a button you can press in your brain? It's like, dude, that already exists. Like people already do this. We have people who literally like sleep for 8 hours, wake up, go to like some job for 8 hours, and then watch like short form content and porn
smoke
for
weed.
8 hours. Like in what world are those people not wireheaded?
Yeah.
Um,
You're like, oh, but it's different because it's like not explicitly like jacking your brain into the. It just doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
all
It
of the
might actually be
systems,
worse. It might be more shameful that you're not just jacking your
right?
brain
It's
into
like
the
you're like
pleasure
the guy.
stream.
You're the early adopter to getting trapped in like the social Ponzi, right? Like I was getting dopamine trapped before it was even like remotely believable that these videos were real. Like I was dating an AI girlfriend before her tits even had more than 16 pixels, bro. Like
I don't know though. I think the AI girlfriend versus AI boyfriend. I think the AI boyfriend will definitely outcompete the AI girlfriend.
I've said this continuously and I'm on record saying this actually fucking back in 2016. Uh I said this back during the Tay shit when that
Yeah.
was going big. Because I ran this thought
Wow.
experiment and I assume I came to the same outcome as you did with this, which is just that like guys simply are not that interested in sitting there all day texting some girl, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this isn't like when guys are like, fuck, I want a girlfriend. They're not like, fuck, like I want a girl who
I
sits
wish
there
I
and
could.
texts me all day, man. Like, fuck, I'm so lonely. There's nobody texting me, right? But like that is actually genuinely what girls mean when they say like I want a boyfriend. It's like they want someone that they're gonna send some sort of content, whether it be Instagram Reels or like some text-based output to this being, and it's going to respond with like positive valence affirmation of them, right?
Or
Like
it's just
that's
they'll send something and it's like because like the times you get text messages from girls and you're like, how the fuck do I work with this? Because it's like they'll send you something and then they just expect you to send them back something that's entertaining. And it's
I've
like,
started I've started saying like this is unrespondable. Like I've started just like I've so opted out of
Giga
this like
Chad.
gesture maxing
up
thing
your
where
game, bitch.
yeah, I literally just say like this is not interesting. Like you and or it's not even usually that it's not interesting. It's that like they're saying something that doesn't really consider the theory of mind of how another person could even
Could even
reasonably respond to
respond.
this. Because oftentimes what will happen is like there's three or four responses that you could give, but they're either like they're inappropriate or
They
banned
themselves are not good responses, also,
or
right?
you
So
don't feel
like
that way
she'll
about
then
them, right?
like take your message and be like, oh, this is such a bad message from him. Like he's such a loser. And the real problem here is that like there's basically never an incentive to tell a girl like, hey, you messed this up.
Yeah.
Whereas like girls have every incentive to be like, oh, this 6'4" guy was like he was so hot and sexy and had a billionaire job, but he didn't open the door for me. So like I wasn't interested in them, and they'll post that everywhere. But as a guy, if you go like, oh, this girl was super hot, but like she ate like a slob, like there's no incentive for you to say that. Like, you know what I mean? So
Well,
guys
It's
never
it's
say
if you
that.
totally
tell her
cucked,
that,
bro.
she
All of the
accuses you of
guys,
rape.
all of the guys will respond to that person saying like, "Oh, you're just bragging about how you get girls or whatever the fuck. You're bragging about how you fuck." Or they'll just say you're gay, bro. Like what? You care about this? Like no matter what you say, no matter what standard you have for any woman, there's always some guy that will appear and be like, "You don't want to fuck a 320-pound woman that's like fucking shitting and farting the whole meal that you're
What are you,
having with her?
gay?
Dude, are you gay, bro? That's so fucked up. You should raise your T levels, bro.
They
Tan your
literally, it's funny
balls. Do
because there
something.
literally have been arguments on the timeline with like the pictures of like the fat women and just guys who come in and like, dude, if you don't think she's hot, you're gay. That's literally
Yes.
happened. That's happened. That has happened on X, the everything site.
No, and I know this because this is what eventually got me to start just like memeing, like, yeah, like I'm just gay, bro. Sorry, man. Like that's because that's the response. When so many of these guys will just say, no matter what you do, if you ever impose a standard on any woman ever, if you ever complain about anything that women do broadly as a collective or individual, you are gay, right? And it's like, well, I guess I'm just gay, dude. Like, I guess I'm just a fucking homo, right? Like, sorry, there's nothing I
well.
can do about it. And you can do this back also. Like, whenever, because girls will do the same exact thing that they call guys gay for all the time, right? Like, girls will complain about, have you noticed that, like, no men are attractive now? Have you noticed that men don't take, it's like, wow, have you noticed that you're just lesbian? You would normally think that they don't get offended by this, but actually, women really don't like being called butch, right? If you
yeah.
call them lesbian, they don't have a problem. But if you make it clear that the lesbian you're referring to is like a fat girl with short hair that has like a bunch of tattoos and stuff, now they actually are insulted by it. And when people agree with you, it does actually piss them off. So like you can totally just flip it around and say, "Oh yeah, you're fucking gay, man. You're a gay woman. Sorry."
That's
Like,
actually super true. What you have to do is like make clear that when you're calling them lesbian, you don't mean like a cute girl who's like trying to
you're not a
impress a guy.
girl at a party who's hooking up with her friends in public after 3 shots, right? You're like a fucking
Whenever I see like a girl be like, "Oh, no guys are hot now," or like, "Why are there no good men?" It's instantly like the dating market clearly has shifted like multiple orders of magnitude in favor of women over the past like 10
Yes.
to 15 years. And if you as a woman are having like an outsized difficulty compared to like your peers, like I mean, a lot of people are having a tough time, right? But like if you are having a harder time compared to your peers, like there's just something catastrophically wrong with you.
like it's just over.
It's just not good. It's
So
like
in other words, we're saying that
we can't tip
basically-
the game anymore in your favor,
basically
man.
the summary
Like
of
I
this whole
don't know what to
thing-
do.
The summary of this whole thing is that, like, if you're a guy complaining about this, you're right. The dating market is fucked.
True,
and if you're a
true,
girl,
Duke.
and if you're a girl, it's a skill issue. That's basically the official plausibly deniable take. Okay.
I think
The
the
plausible
way that
deniable
you
take is that just fuck her good is true, but only for men.
Only for men.
Only from
for
women.
women
just,
keeping a man
just
happy.
fuck
Just
him
fuck him good. Yeah,
It's
okay.
true.
All right.
But wait, this is actually true. Like you will have guys that will legitimately excuse the most heinous, insane behavior if the girl they're with just like gives them mind-blowing sex.
No,
So it
no,
is
no,
actually
no, no,
like
no, no, no,
unironically.
no. You're coping even. This is a coping position. It's not even mind-blowing sex. It's like if the girl consistently puts out for him, right? Like the average guy lives in a state of such absolute sexual poverty that like if this girl is like, I will allow you once every weekend to do the thing with me, right? In missionary, they'll just be like, dude, like, where else can I find this? Like, how else am I ever going to achieve such glorious heights of sexual abundance? Like, I have to do this.
God, I have to step on my instincts here. And my instincts are like, hey, missionary is actually pretty good.
Like, okay, Kofi, I have this running meme where I talk to all of the gym zoomers about like their relationships and stuff, and it is this like funny
love
thing
this
where
segment.
all of the guys are just like, yeah, man. So like, I'm dating this massive evil mega bitch, and I hate her, and I'm pretty sure
okay.
she hates me, and she cheats on me pretty regularly. And I'm like, wow, like that sounds totally retarded. Why? And they're just like, it just seems like this is what you've got to do. Like it just seems like
Yeah.
It is just all of society
the woman
being
cartel
led.
has won. I mean, what do you want to say? Like women.
Dude, the
have,
women cartel is goated. They're so good, man. Oh my god. They're so,
they don't even
like even
think about
Ozempic
it.
isn't breaking them. I saw like
I
some
think you guys are selling the
positive
bottom.
posts
I think
today,
you guys
bro.
are selling the bottom on this one. Like I think we're about to see a period of like hyper homosexuality that is not going to feel very much like women winning.
No, I do agree.
Dude, I feel like
I do think it's
that's losing
the
even
women
worse.
cartel are going to stop winning, but if only because they've won so completely that like I actually just can't visualize like what winning more like would look like. Like I just can't visualize
Dude,
it.
I feel like we talked
Uh,
about this earlier in the pod when we were like, oh yeah, things will just get worse and then eventually we'll break things. And like you guys are now the accelerationists who are like, things will get so bad that they have to get better. No, they'll just get worse.
No, I think
No, I
I
think what
think
is happening now, and we've talked about this too, is like the men are starting to do the women tactics.
yes.
Like the
Yeah.
guy, like Alyssa Liu was like a historic turning point in the gender war where all the men got together in a cartel and pretended that this woman was really hot because she just like generally has a pleasant demeanor. Like the Eileen girl is clearly hotter by like any objective metric at
For the
all.
last 5 years, men have been weaponizing female social strategy in a way that really fucking pisses women off too. Like you have
Yes. Do you
all of
remember that one article where it's like none of the men in my life are straight, like none of them want to have sex, and it's like you start reading like what she's saying. Like this guy is like, oh, I don't want to see you. I feel really anxious. It's
Yeah.
like, dude,
Oh,
he like
that one.
clearly
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
hates
yeah.
you,
And
doesn't want to hang
that was
out with
the
you,
New York
and is
Times
doing the
essay.
woman
Yep.
thing.
Yeah.
It's
Like instead
guys-
of being like, no, I don't want to see you and rejecting you,
But
he's just like coming up with some bullshit excuse that in the modern world, like anxiety is some like be all end all where like you
It's
bring up the
weaponizing
concept of
therapy
anxiety
speak
and you
against
can't
women.
question
Yes,
it.
and as a guy, you instantly realize that this is totally fake in a way that women don't, because as a guy, you read this article and you're like, this is not a thought that any male brain ever could have produced. Like, I never in a million years I have not experienced the feeling of like, this is me. Like, this is an extremely female brained, like borderline, like just towing the line of being gay guy saying to you, like, I have never experienced this, oh, I'm too anxious to go fuck the girl thought, right? Like, that's not real. If a guy says this to you, he's completely scamming you to the point where you can actually just call him out for doing this. You won't. You won't because you're a girl and you're scared
Yeah.
of confrontation. But you could, and it would work and be correct, right? He would
Yeah.
do the thing of like, oh no, like really, like it's a super serious issue. Like I'm really scared of fucking you. Like it's truly horrifying. But if you just keep doubling down, he will eventually just fuck off.
You know what the funniest thing about this is we were talking about Gamergate earlier, and really the start of Gamergate was like the Zoe Quinn's boyfriend wrote this essay about complaining about her, but it was in pure therapy speak. And that was what sort of kicked it off. Like, oh, she's like very abusive and gaslighting, and she's like using these manipulative tactics on me. And like, just like it was like pure like woman therapy speak talk.
The first time men ever deployed women therapy speak, and it led to Donald
And it
Trump
just
getting
led to
elected.
just like this just giant
It's-
social explosion. It's like this like underrated side note of Gamergate 1.0.
The first time men ever, it's like reaching weapons parity. It's like, you
It's
know,
like, it's like the monolith
it's like
in
they
2000
finally have
the
tanks
monolith
too,
in
you know?
2001 when they discovered that they can use like the rocks as a weapon.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and they all everybody chimps by the monolith. Holy shit, we can use therapy speak on women. And they'll have to
I do think though that we're kind of reaching a sort of unprecedented point in human history where like again, talking to like the Jim Zoomer guys, like a lot of them know what they have to do to have sex with women, right? Like they know the hoops that they have to jump through. They know what it entails. Like you take her out for the things, you say XYZ things. But there's a fair amount of them that are just saying like, yeah, like it's just not worth it. And like you look at the guys and they're not guys that are like these aren't like incels that are just like genetically gated out of ever having sex with a woman, right? Like these are somewhat normal to above normal guys. Uh, and they're just saying like, yeah, like my sex drive is just not high enough to compel me to fuck myself like this, right? I don't think this has literally ever happened before. I think all throughout the history of the human race, male T levels, male sex drive, it was all high enough that they would basically deal with anything that women could dish out in order to get laid.
Yeah.
And so we're entering very uncharted territory when you have like peak prime age males saying like, I don't know, man, like this doesn't seem like a very good deal. And then they just go jack off to porn,
Well,
right?
this
Like
was
that actually does change the equilibrium because like this is a group that has never been able to walk away from the bargaining table ever.
Yeah.
And they're now just like, yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna go video game porn.
Well, this was my theory on this that I posted about a million years ago. Maybe like 2020 or something like that. Sometime long time ago, about why like everybody talking about the decline in testosterone in men, like the overall secular decline in testosterone in men. And I was like, my theory on this is, as women dress more and more ridiculously provocatively, like when you go to the gym and you can say, oh, okay, that's what her labia look like. I wasn't aware of that until I came to the gym today.
It's like, oh my God, now that I'm looking at it, it's almost like, you know, those echoes, the parentheses we put around names? It kind of looks like that if you really zoom
We're
in.
gonna have
That's
so much
crazy.
bleeping this
Well,
episode.
that's a little bit of the gay thought, maybe, but I was thinking more along the lines of like, I was thinking more along the
The
lines of like,
asymptote, man. It's getting closer.
getting
And, like,
closer
I've
and
been
closer.
witnessing this asymptote get closer and closer for like
for the entire for
solid
the
3 months now.
Gee, I wonder what it's the plausibly deniable experience.
The
I wonder what that
plausibly
really
deniable
refers to. Yeah,
experience.
I wonder what that
It's,
refers to.
it's not very plausible anymore.
It is straining the limits of what is
What is
plausible. For sure.
My reference on this though is just going to be like, you have to constantly like tamp down your sexual response to like the stimuli that like women are putting out there for you. And once you make that like not just a habit, but just like something that you have to do on like a daily basis to like live in society without going insane, the way your body does that is by like regulating your hormones in such a way that
No.
it kills your response to women in general.
This is an extremely good point, because like if you think about what would happen if you took like your grandpa, like born in like the 1900s, and you transported him into a modern like 2026 gym, he would genuinely get charged for within like 3 months. Like it's like he would not be able, like, you know? Yeah. So you have a situation where in order to not become instant hyper felons, all men basically have to become gay. Right?
Yeah.
So like, wow, we're really surprised that men are gay now. Like,
One of the most annoying memes is when like supposedly based women will be like, yeah, man, they're dressing like that because they want a strong man to dominate her. It's like, dude, like, this sucks, bro. She gets like a put option on me at like at any time. She can be like, "Well, I didn't consent to this," and then it's like, "Oh, your entire shit is ruined. Like your whole life is just over catastrophically."
There's always like the epic based woman who's like, "You just need to take charge and commit like hyper felonies upon this woman. She's clearly yearning. She's clearly
like,
yearning
it's
really
like,
hard."
I understand that that's what you and your husband do, and like I'm very happy for you because it appears that this dynamic is working for you guys, but that is entirely because you decide to not call the police.
Right.
But like the fact of the matter is the police exist.
They're advising this to like a group of 19-year-old guys with autism. They're like, you should just go dominate her, bro. And it's like, how do you think that the 19-year-old autist with like insane hormones is going to employ your advice, right? Is it going to be like a very tactful, like just skirting the lines type of domination? Or is he going to instantly go to prison, right? Like, are you giving him advice that sends him to Guantanamo Bay? Because it sounds like you're doing the latter.
It sounds like you're doing the latter. Yeah, because you are. And then of course the other one is just like, no, that's not sexual. Like a woman's naked, but there's nothing sexual about a woman's naked body. What are you talking about?
You fucking porn addicted freaks
you're
are
only
sexualizing the female breast again.
That's your tweet. That's your tweet. There's nothing sexual about the female body. You're just porn brained.
I should retweet that one. That was pretty
You really
good.
should.
That's a really good one.
Dude, so many people. This is the other thing, is like everybody got mad and assumed that I was a woman. Like this was one of those crazy tweets where I didn't even change my profile picture to that of a woman. People read it and just assumed that I was a woman named Lucas, right? Because it was such a fucking woman brain thing to say that they had no concept for the possibility a man could have said this.
I just wanted to talk about a little bit, and you don't have to get more into it than you feel comfortable, but I'm curious, like, how did you end up online? Why did you choose the name you chose? We glanced over that one a little, but like, what about it spoke to you as like your name? Kind of a like background of the poster, if you will.
Sure. I mean, I'll always give the story, and I say this all the time, is like I I sort of did my I was always a commenter and not a poster. Like, so I didn't really, I was like Chateau Artiste commenter, when it was Rossi, and I was a Slate Star Codex commenter for a long time. And the name that
We were talking about
yeah, I
this,
was talking
man.
about this with you before, and I still feel like I won like a victory against him because he had to ban me for no reason back when he pretended to be pro free speech, and like all the bans had like, oh, you have to be either kind or necessary or what was it? What was like the threefold gate? It has to be kind,
It's so funny to say
necessary,
your
or
comment
true.
wasn't necessary.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but like
This was an unnecessary comment.
was
Like that's
unnecessary.
one of those totally like coded
Yeah.
there is no line. Like this is an imaginary category.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you violated the HR office meme.
And it wasn't
Goodbye.
necessary. You didn't have to say that. It's like, all right, no, I
You
mean,
made me uncomfortable.
technically none of us had to
How
say
did you make me
anything.
uncomfortable? Well, you made me uncomfortable by saying something unnecessary. Like just this infinite
Circular.
looping chain of
Yeah.
non-answers.
Yeah. But anyway, so like Scott had this Scott, and it's actually, this gets into something else. So Scott had this like plausible deniability of like being like, well, I just kind of like flirt with the right, but I'm not really on the right. I'm not really on the right. And like he's a leftist. But like he got a lot of views for being the guy who was open-minded and who put doubts out there. And so I put a lot of responses under there, and my responses were always like on point and putting the things that he was missing. But the point of this was my commenting name that I chose was Steve Johnson. And the reason I chose this is because this is the most impossibly generic name that you could never Google. So you could never do a search and find that name. So like I felt like I was totally like anonymous, and like I could actually like say whatever and it wouldn't come back to haunt me. And a lot of people have gotten doxxed since then, and I never did on that. And then that was my old identity. And I got on Twitter and I was like, all right, I want an actual like name on Twitter. And it was like very soon after Covfefe Day, whatever you want to say, however Trump said it, he put that tweet out there. And then it was like, huh, that sounds kind of like that UN Secretary General guy who won the Nobel Peace Prize. So I'm going to be Covfefe Anon. And then I was Covfefe Anon. So that was how I got the name. And then how I started as a poster was just like I was doing the manual follow where you would check people's profiles that I like knew of from like the reactionary blogosphere days. And I was in like the whole like underground reactionary like forum days. I was around posting in that, and I never posted publicly. And then I just started posting on Twitter because they made it easy, and I could also do it in bite-sized bits and not write like long essays. But now I should write long essays because I want my stuff to like live on beyond just like a tweet that gets forgotten about.
And so when did you make was it conscious that you made the jump from, I think there's like periods of time when a lot of people made the jump from forums, whether this was like Reddit before it became like a slop fest, or, Slate Star Codex or Chateau Artiste, like we're talking about, to Twitter. Like when was the jump? And then, like maybe there was a time when you started like being on but not quite posting, like
No,
around that time. Like,
I jumped both feet on when I went into Twitter. And the thing is, it's funny because I actually did create a few more accounts or I created a few more identities on Slate Star Codex just because I wanted to. I created one called Reasoned Argumentation. And I wanted Scott Alexander to have to write the words "reasoned argumentation is now banned on this blog," because I wanted to write like a logical argument that had like no rudeness or no insults, and it was just like purely like a reasonable thing. And I wanted him to have to write that he banned that, and so like he'd have to actually write the sentence, and he eventually did. So I eventually got banned with that account because once I was an unknown there, he was much more hair trigger to ban all right wingers.
I mean, how long did it take?
Oh, it took like three posts of his that I was responding to with comments that were just like no rudeness, nothing. Like it did not take a long time at all. And like the thing is, I actually liked a lot of the commenters there. There was like a decent community, and it was like so one of the things I said recently in a discussion, and I haven't posted it, and I was probably going to post it, was about how I feel like people talk about excuse me, people talk about how the polarization has increased radically over like recent times, and I think that's true. And I think the reason that's true is because a lot of the false factual beliefs that were underpinning the old worldview are exploded and gone with the internet. And I feel like we've like blown up, like you can no longer believe like, oh, crime is caused by poverty. And then you see like a video of like a black guy in the subway just like shoving people on the platform. And it's like, you're like, oh no, the socioeconomic factors are going to overwhelm him any
Yeah, like
minute now.
this one was not like it's not like you have to push the person into the train in order to get your grocery money, right?
Right.
Like it's like
Yeah, or like even when they call
this
him,
has no rational economic motivation.
yeah,
There's
or like
something
when
else
they
going
call him
on
a
here.
career criminal. When this guy was a career criminal, I'm like, this was his career. What the fuck was his career? Was pushing people in front of
The
subway?
career criminal is the career criminal. Lifetime profits negative $10 trillion. It's like, well, what do you define a career as? Like, this isn't making a ton of sense.
I mean, he's really just a dedicated amateur when you think about it. I mean,
I guess they do the same thing with sports, right? Where it'll be like, this is a professional tennis player, and it's like he spends like $150,000 on his coach and like travel team every year, and then he wins like $10,000. And you're like, he's a pro.
well,
Like he's a professional athlete.
I mean, okay, all right, God, and I'm gonna actually you, but like, actually, if you're in like tennis, golf, any moneyed sport, and you're at the point where you're winning prize money, you're also a tennis instructor is your thing, where you're a club pro and like you're making a living that way.
I'm gonna say not necessarily for a lot of these like outside of the like top 50, 100, 150 guys. They sometimes will get some sponsorships that carry them, but they don't have a lot of time to be coaching themselves. Like they when they're touring, they really don't have
Okay.
they at least for tennis. This may be true for other
I
things. Tennis is the
know
only one that
a
I'm
lot more
familiar
about
with.
golf. I know a lot more about golf. Like I know this one
Tennis
guy.
is one of those
Yeah.
very vertical sports where like the top, if you're not in the top 50 guys, you're basically losing money to do this.
Okay. All right. I know in golf, it's like golf, they have like, I guess there's a lot more like time or something like that. Because like golf, there are like guys who like, well, maybe one year out of every 5, he'll make the cut in some like actual major golf tournament. And
Well, I think golf you can also play until you're a lot older, right? I think in tennis, if you're not like good by the time you're like 22, it's over for you.
well, that's my
The world's number one in tennis right now is 23 years old.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's like my favorite story about Drew Brees, right? You know, this is like Drew Brees had this rivalry with a tennis pro, like a top tennis pro that grew up near him, and I forget who it was, but whatever. I forget who the guy was. And they played as kids, and like Drew Brees is 2 years older than this guy. And then when this guy beat him at like 14, and like the other guy was 12, and the tennis pro was like ended up being a top guy in the world, but when he beat him at 12, Brees was like, all right, that's it. Tennis is done. I'm never going to be a top tennis player because I got beat by a guy 2 years younger than me. So like just statistically, I'm definitely not going to make it.
And stuff, right?
Right. And that was the other thing about bodybuilding that just really sucks is cutting is like, yeah, it's just like 4 months out of the year. Like, you have to cut down to this body fat level that is kind of like inhuman and it doesn't really have any biological benefit and it sucks ass and you will just feel shitty. And then, but in the end, it all pays off because you oil yourself on stage and then gay men
In front of a bunch of gay
in the
men.
ass, right?
Yeah.
So it all is worth it. if
It's
you
all
think
worth
about
it in the end. There's really a pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. Really.
So you eventually get deep into enough where like some guys who I don't know, like some guys will just be autistic enough that they like the pursuit of becoming like an inhuman monstrous freak. And I can't really argue against the male desire to become the best at anything because the human race is just fucked without this.
Yeah.
So I can't really be against it as a concept or an idea, but it's definitely just not for me. Gay as I may try to be, like I actually just I can't do the job that's funded 90% by homosexual endeavors and gay stripping and gay sex.
Giving you the upside for the rest of your life, you've developed basically a base of muscle mass that you'll never like lose. So you will.
Yeah, I do think this is like how lifting is supposed to be handled is when you're like 17, 16, whatever. You're in high school, dude. You have unlimited time. It's literally like you just have so much time. And also you go to a school that has the fucking gym, so you don't even have to pay for it, right? You're just supposed to go and eat a fuck ton of food and lift every day. Just autism it. You have to autism it like hard for like 1 year, right? Everyone's like, oh, in order to get jacked, you have to do this for like 5, 10. It's fucking bullshit, dude.
If you're 16
if you're
or
a young
17,
guy,
you don't. Yeah.
yeah, no, you have nothing else going on in your life. You can just do this for a year, and then after that, in college or whatever, you can ramp it down to like 2 times a week that you lift, maybe 1 times a week. And if you do this for a long enough time period, like by the time you get a decade out, like you can lift once every week or two, and you can maintain all of your muscle and look fucking awesome. And you keep improving through some weird mechanism that like everyone calls it muscle maturity. I don't exactly know how it works, but somehow like your fat gets redistributed, like your veins start looking better, your muscle bellies are like more defined. You can literally have the same exact weight and body fat on like a DEXA scan, and you will just gradually look better over time, having maintained like a specific physique. I really don't know how it works. Like after I'm basically the same weight and body fat I was after like 8 months of lifting right now. But I just look enormously better now than I did at that same point before.
So you should start competing in bodybuilding again, maybe.
No, because what they judge bodybuilding off of isn't like
No, it's not. It's fitness model standards you look better under, and that's not.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like magazine covers or something like that. I don't know. But you really just want to like lift long enough that it becomes normal. And when you're an adult, because you really don't want to be trying to get jacked or in shape for the first time when you're 35 years old. You can do it, obviously, but it's just like the ROI trade-off of whatever the fuck else you're doing when you're 35 versus going to the gym for 2 hours a day, it becomes awful, right? Like you can blow off social studies to go lift. You can totally do that. And it will impact basically nothing about your life, probably. But like whatever you have to trade off when you're 35, like what you're gonna
The opportunity
leave
cost
the second half
increases
of the
every time.
workday.
Yeah.
You're gonna ignore your child? Like, yeah, sorry, babe. Like, I couldn't pick little Tommy up from school today. I was benching, right? Like, you're getting divorced. You're getting divorced.
Yeah. But, God, it's like a very woman view of it. It's like, fine, I'm getting divorced, but I'm gonna be hot. I'm gonna find a new
She's gonna
woman.
be so mad that she left me, bro. She's gonna be seething when she sees the shape and volume of my newfound biceps, bro. And when she sees my tricep delt tie-in, she's gonna fucking kill herself, man.
That's how women think. That's if you're with a woman and she drops a lot of weight and starts doing her hair better, that's warning. I don't even know if is that true anymore. Do people even do women even stick around long enough for that to be the case anymore, or is that like an outdated stereotype?
This is a Sailor question. All the people I know are they're either gym zoomers that are like, I don't know if the gym zoomers are specifically black pilled, but like they're certainly so black pilled that like the answer to this question
I
is
think the
it's
gym
all
has
over.
gone. I think the gym has gone from being like this like normal healthy thing you do that you're like into as a subculture to like if things are going poorly in your life, you go to the gym now.
It's like the cope. Oh, dude, this is
It's
so
like
true.
the bar.
Do you remember that?
No, I really believe this. Hold on, let me run this out. I
Lift.
think it's like nothing's going well in your life. Like school's going poorly, work's going poorly, your friends going poorly. But it's like okay, at the very least, for 30 to like 50 to 60 minutes a day, like you should be in the gym. And like I do think it's like a good mentality, but I do think like the class of person that like is in the gym every single day has changed a lot. Where it used to be some guy who has like really into the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies or something or whatever, and now it has become like
Guy who
there's
just got
people
dumped.
who go to the gym and like you like look at their TikTok feed and I don't know, but it's all like she's cheating on you. It's like your ex is so much happier than you. Your friends, none of them invited you to anything today. That's why you're at the gym because you're a worthless piece of shit. Like it's all like the most black pill motivation content ever, where it's just like self-hatred, which like a certain amount is probably healthy. But I do think probably uniquely right now just the way that like looks maxing has become like kind of a default for a lot of people who have nothing going on for them in their life. They're like, well, at the very least I should go to the gym for 45 minutes, which is good.
Do you remember the period, maybe like I think it was COVID when this started happening, but the Zoomer gym content went from being like exactly what you were saying, the guys who watch Pumping Iron or like you're such a giga chad, like the Z's type motivational videos, you're gonna go to the rave and everyone's gonna love you and all this stuff. And it just became like this guy saying like she left me. But when she looks behind, the man she sees is going to make her like cope and seethe so
She
hard or
left
whatever,
a
right?
boy,
Like
but when
it's
she
some like
looks back, she'll see a man.
yeah, they did like dark MAGA, but for like guy who just got dumped.
Yeah, it's literally like dark. It's like dark motivation. It's literally just the exact opposite of like girl motivation, which is like you look so good, babe.
Dude,
Like,
it's Mr. Brightside. It's the Mr. Brightsidification of gym motivational TikToks. Like
No, it's
you're
so
so
weird.
gay and cucked, and the only way to fix anything is to like go become a real man at the gym. Also, here's an ad to my like masculinity influencer camp where some guy pretending to be Andrew Tate will shoot you with a paintball gun while you do push-ups.
That's like real. That's like real. Like the beginnings of physical culture, like the Charles Atlas thing about like the ad with like the guy who gets sand kicked in his face at the beach. You don't want to be the guy who gets sand kicked in his face at the beach anymore. But now it's like there's no even hope. It's like yeah, you don't even go to the beach. You're not even at the beach. You're too ashamed to go to the beach. Just go to the gym. Just go to the gym.
Yeah, I think like the net result will probably be good. I do think there's this weird thing where like every guy is going to the gym.
Yeah.
Like I knew very few guys who just don't go to the gym, and I don't think that was normal.
No.
I don't think that was a
But
thing like
but
15
very
years
few
ago.
of the guys going to the gym are changing the shape of their
No,
bodies in any way, which is we're at like a world historic point of like low effects of gym, right?
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. As somebody who's older,
I don't know if
I've been
that's
going to the
entirely
gym for
true,
a long
man.
time, right? And I think that like
You see a lot more of these guys who have like
yeah,
you go to like a beach and they have like a great body and they just look like they were supposed to be a nerd, but there's like a nerd face on like a jock body, or like not even a jock body, just like a bodybuilder body.
yeah.
And
And
then I think part of it is also it's like the Steph Curry three-ization of the gym where like there's so much like
Yes.
science based like advice and like this is the number one routine and like you need to be going to failure and then like minus 2 reps and like there like I think like
Dude, I remember all of this shit too. It was so autistic. Like you go and you start learning about how to lift and you're like, yeah, I have to switch to this routine now because it's going to be slightly more optimal and then the compounding gains from blah blah and it's like in the end just none of this matters
literally
versus
the
like
only thing that matters is showing up, sleeping 8 hours, and eating. Man, it's just like the thing with
See,
the gym
I think you guys
is
are
I think you're
underrating
bored
how
when
many
you're
things you can do
there.
wrong at the gym. Like
no, dude, I trained
I don't
people
know
in
if I believe this
college.
one actually.
I have discovered basically every mechanism by which a person cannot gain muscle, and it really does just boil down to the big three.
yes.
It's always either like you're not eating enough, you're not sleeping enough, or you're not going hard enough in the gym. Like
Oh,
it's always
I thought
one
you
of
were
the
gonna say the
three.
big three of like bench, squat, deadlift. Because I think
No,
more
no.
guys do that now than 10 years ago or 15 years ago. A lot fewer guys were doing like the big important compound lifts. And like now everybody
Yeah, I mean the
knows that those
secret
are the ones you
here
have to do.
is like there's just no reason to squat, man. It's like
I heard your
there's
discussion.
just
I heard your
no
discussion with tacos. It was
yeah.
yeah.
There's no well I'm
I
like
actually
further. I
recently
didn't say
started
it on
squatting
that
again.
one, but like I just think there's no reason to squat at all, man.
I
It's just
recently
like
started squatting
entirely
again
useless.
because the weight rack to load up the leg press machine is so much farther away and it just like it takes like 5 minutes to load a fucking bajillion plates onto the leg press. So now I'm like squatting again and every time I'm doing it, like I'm feeling like the vertebra in my back like tweak a little bit and I'm hearing delicious tacos in my ear saying like never squat heavy, Lucas. You're too old for this. Don't do this anymore, Lucas. And I'm like I'm imagining myself like broken and crippled on the ground, like my vertebra just completely snapped in half, me
If
screaming,
only I
howling in
listened
pain,
to
unable to
Delicious
move my
Tacos.
legs.
Famous self-fiction erotic writer. This would not have happened.
This is another thing that he does all the time. Like I have this totally in common with him is he imagines the worst possible outcome of every situation, right? He's like, every day I wake up And the first thing I do when my wife walks out the door is I imagine her getting into a car crash with an illegal uninsured Mexican who explodes her instantly into a fine mist of red blood, leaving me alone, stranded and wifeless forever, right? And yet this has never happened. He's like, that's how I know that attraction theory doesn't exist, right? Because if it did, my wife would have been exploded by a Mexican by now.
The other thing you have to understand about women is that every choice is made by committee.
she
Like
got
this is the other thing,
validated.
and this is probably not a thing for me. I don't know if you guys probably caught some of this, but like nowadays, if you text a girl, you're basically texting like 6 of her closest friends. So like you don't have to rizz up like one. It's like in Neon Genesis Evangelion where it's like the 3 minds and like 2 out of 3 of them have to agree. It's like you have to rizz up like 4 out of her 6 friends at least. Like at the least you have to be rizzing up 4 out of the 6 friends.
Jesus.
It's very, very funny. Yeah.
Dude, I was kind of like early adopter to this shit. Like I went online very, very early, and the thing that you realize as a guy who goes on the internet is like no matter what community you were in, at least when I was a kid, right? There was always some girl, at least at the age when I joined,
Oh,
who
yeah.
had fully weaponized the entire community, right? Like and because it was fairly rare for women to be on like forums or stuff like that, it would literally usually be like one woman, right? There's like
Yes.
one woman who
And
has
she'd had
all
sex
of
with everyone in this like niche forum.
or like everybody had some sort of weird like if they were younger they wanted to have sex with her, if they were older they did the thing where they want to have sex with her but they know they can't say that, so they say like, oh yeah,
She's like
this
a daughter
girl,
to
like
me.
she's like my daughter, like I just really feel a protective desire for her that causes
so
me to
funny.
message her for 8 hours a day, right?
Dude, this is like the World of Warcraft memes. I was too young for this, man. I never really got into that. But this is like the World of Warcraft memes, right? Where there's like one girl in the guild who's like consistently manipulating everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I was just used to the fact that anything that you said anywhere in any private communication was either going to be screenshotted by the girl or screenshotted and then sent back to the girl.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I effectively don't believe in the concept of privacy, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. You cannot say like, oh, like, don't worry about it, Lucas. These DMs are private. I'm just like, what are you talking about? Are you a fucking retard? Like, that doesn't exist anymore. It hasn't existed for 20
Lucas
or 30
is like
years.
Bane, but for the panopticon. He's like, you merely adopted the panopticon.
Well,
I
this
was
is how you
molded by
become
it.
like a podcaster.
I was a
right?
grown adult before I even knew the concept of privacy. By the time I had a private conversation with a woman, I was already a fully grown man. It was blinding to me.
I have also just exposed basically every detail of my life to the public at this point. So it's like,
Yeah, that's true, man. You are just totally inoculated.
yeah.
That is
He's
definitely
totally
one approach. That
inoculated.
is a really good approach to there's the well, it can never embarrass me. Here is my face on my podcast saying absolutely everything from my past.
Yes. Like I've
No,
just
that's one of the great things Lucas has done is like Lucas is very good at like immediately like people will be like, "Oh, you shouldn't like put your whole life on the internet. That might be embarrassing." And then Lucas is like, "Okay, I put my whole life on the internet. Now, what does this unlock for me?" like he does the thing first, and then he's like, "Now that I've put my whole life on the internet, and like a lot of people hate me and whatnot, like, like this unlocks podcasting for me. Like the podcast tech tree is now wide open.
I mean,
'cause
that
I've
is
already
true.
assumed all the negatives.
That is absolutely true because like there's
I also
yeah.
think I also think that honestly like a lot more things became possible than like you open more doors and close more doors. There's obviously a way where you could do it that it would go in reverse, but like I did it basically because I realized if I continued working like a normal corporate job, I was just going to crash out and myself. And so it's like, okay, well, how do you make sure that you just can't go back to that anymore? It's like, well, right?
You're Cortez,
But
you burned your ships.
yeah, but then actually what happened is like I now have the possibility to go work infinitely more corporate jobs than I ever did before. And I
And then the
fairly
ships
consistently get job
spontaneously
offers
rebuilt
from this.
themselves.
Yes, it's
You burned all your ships. What the fuck? Why are these ships still here?
well, and now it's like you get offers to do like consulting or something that is like a minor component of your previous job for like 1/10 of the time for like 5 times more
Yeah.
pay or something like that.
That is, that's always good. Yeah.
But it's also like it could totally go the opposite way. Like I'm never gonna be the guy who suggests, oh yeah, you should just dox. Like everybody should just dox because like it does rely on you being able to like be a little slippery, right?
Yeah,
Like
and
you
also
have to be
it
able
also
to.
relies on I think the key difference is that it relies on you being good looking. Is that like you get docs, if you get docs or you self docs and you're good looking, things work out for you. And if you do and you're not good looking, they don't work out as well. I think that's the whole difference.
The Lomez effect.
The Lomez effect. Yeah.
The Lomez effect.
Yeah.
They dox.
What's
they
the
dox
Lomez
the man.
effect?
Everyone says he's so beautiful, and
Yeah.
then they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Fuck."
Like-
we've accidentally
Yeah,
like
we've
10x his life.
Yeah, we've created like a media
The worst thing about
superstar.
Lomez is you just know that like Lomez, like every like libtarded girl who had him as like
Oh,
his
yeah.
English professor was like, this guy is so hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like every single one, you just know, dude.
This is another
just
gay thing
know.
that we're doing right now. Like this, you basically just said like, dude, imagine
this
being
isn't
a
gay,
woman.
actually.
Wouldn't
This
you
is,
want to fuck Lomez
This is
so
this
bad?
is me. I'm doing the female cartel strategy where I'm like, isn't our friend so hot? That's what I'm doing right now.
But he's married.
It's very
It's like-
close to gay.
I did have a bit here that I wanted to say about this that I actually did kind of want in the pod because I feel like this is
We can re-up now.
yeah, this is very I felt like this is very good Lucas content is you can actually Lucas's thing is always that like these women are doing these like incredibly precise but unconscious like game theory calculations, and you can see when they're going to appear in the why I left the right articles because it's an increasing line of how much attention they're getting from their selfies versus how much negative attention they're getting on their selfies, and then how much positive attention can I get from appearing in the why I left the right article. And when those lines all cross and the summation of it reaches a certain point where it's positive for her to do that, that's when they do it. That's when they all
It's
do
an
that.
infinitely more complex version of Obama supporting gay marriage at exactly 51% approval, right?
Yeah.
Like that's 100% what it is.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
There's another thing that I wanted to come back to on the whole like we ripped down the wall between like US and Japan thing.
Yeah.
That's like you white pilled the fuck out of me on this one because your take last time we talked was basically that actually this is good because the US currently, the only people mediating the inflow of information from the rest of the world to the US was sort of the journalist class, right? Like the
Yeah.
media. And having global insta translate on everything means that like so there was an article from some British museum where they were talking about how like women were 50% of samurais or something like that, right? And I saw this because I saw a bunch of Japanese people quote tweeting it and responding to it saying, "Are you a fucking retard? Is this what they're teaching in the West? What disingenuous horse shit? 50% of women were not." Like, this is just insane. So you have stuff like that happening, and you instantly realize, like, oh, wait, like, this is actually insanely good for the US,
Yes.
right? It's insanely good for the US right wing because so many of these lies that, like, like my parents have, they just trust that the TV is going to be honest with them, right?
Yeah.
Why would they not? But now if you have an army of foreigners saying what a disingenuous horseshit misrepresentation of my culture, this is insane. It instantly means like you actually kind of have to be a little bit more honest with this stuff. And yeah, there will be some like cultural cross-pollination in a way that might not be like super great for the Japanese or whatever.
Yeah.
But the net benefit to the right wing is huge if this happens, right?
Yeah, and it's a benefit to the
if-
Japanese too, I think. Because
I think it's good. I think it's good for people like being winners and people
Yep.
like feeling like there's other people who support them. I think it's generally good. And I think the left has always had this
fake consensus.
the left has always had this idea of like we are the winners of the next culture war.
Mhm.
Like 30 years from now, our kids will be saying like, "Oh, Dad, were you at the No Kings fucking march or whatever stupid shit?" And I think it's good for at least people to believe that that's not necessarily true, or at least for people on the right to be able to believe something similar, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like both sides of it get to realize that we're the sane ones, and they're like the lunatics, and like they have this very like specific Okay. So here's the example that I dug up, that just dug it up by a complete accident, right? So every year on Groundhog Day, like the mayor of New York goes to like the Staten Island Zoo, and they have like the Groundhog Day festival in the Staten Island Zoo, and they take out Staten Island Chuck, and they see if Staten Island Chuck sees his shadow. And De Blasio goes there one year, and Staten Island Chuck bites him, right? And he drops Staten Island Chuck. And then like 2 weeks later, Staten Island Chuck is announced in the papers that Staten Island Chuck is dead. And so everybody's like, okay, de Blasio killed Staten Island Chuck by dropping him, right? And everybody knows that. And like everybody knows that like de Blasio is like the leftist and therefore the good guy. And so the zoo just goes and denies that oh, no. Staten Island Chuck dying had absolutely nothing to do with de Blasio dropping him. And then it comes out later, oh yeah, no, he absolutely died from internal injuries caused by de Blasio dropping him. Like they will
Also, I would just like to say, what an insane misallocation of resources that any of this happened or that we know about it, right?
Yeah.
Like this is truly like peak waste of all human capital that we do
Dude,
this.
there's a
We're like,
mysticism to American culture that people don't realize.
Yeah.
Like there's so much mysticism. Those like Mythos America accounts or whatever. There is like a mysticism to like middle America that people don't realize.
Yeah.
like Groundhog Day, we're going to go and have the mayor. Like the mayor's taking half the day off so that he can hold this groundhog. And you're like, well, what the fuck is even a groundhog? And we're like, I don't know. It's like a gopher kind of.
It's kind of like
it's
a
like
gopher,
it just.
I think. I don't know.
It's like a weird spin-off gopher or whatever, right? So you have the mayor of New York, like the most powerful city in the universe, goes and he holds the fake gopher up, right? And then he drops it, right? And then the dropping of it results, now we're doing a medical forensic investigation into the fake gopher and the cause of his death. And then also all of our journalist class is like running a cover-up operation on why the fake gopher died.
Yeah.
And like all of
The
this...
zoo, the people at the zoo, the officials at the zoo were running the cover-up for how the groundhog died. Yes. How insane
And
is
like
that?
in any sane society, just none of this would have happened, right? Like none of it wouldn't have started, it wouldn't have continued, it wouldn't have finished this way. And yet here we are.
And yet here we are. Yeah, I mean it's all insane. Yeah. We live in a madhouse.
So yeah, like things like this are all just blatant examples of journalistic dishonesty. And I think most of journalism, like we can just accept at this point, like it's dishonesty. And anything that promotes the idea that journalism is dishonesty at this point is just a net good for the right wing.
Yeah.
Alex Jones is a net, like, is Alex Jones also dishonest and wrong? Yes, totally. Like he might not even know what he's saying under many circumstances. Like it's totally possible that he's just like, yeah, I'm going to do like 15 lines of cocaine before I say this next sentence. And boy, is it going to be a fucking doozy, bros. And then he just lets it rip. And like, yeah, it's all lies and it doesn't make any sense. And he's red in the face and hysterical while saying it. But like, it calls the news liars, right?
Yeah.
So I support it.
Yeah. Like that's another layer of the psyop in a lot of ways, because it's like, okay, you can, if you believe that the news is crazy, you believe the crazy coked out guy who's ranting about I want to say making the frogs gay, but actually making the frogs gay before. This is funny because this is one of
the coked out guy is always directionally correct, man.
That's the
just
thing.
every single time.
Directionally correct, but like but he exists as a figure.
He might not be literally correct,
right? But
he's always directionally
correct is also such a funny concept, because when you like imagine trying to explain the concept of directional correctness to like a 100 IQ person who's never heard this term before. Like do it in this situation. Use an example here about how Alex Jones frogs gay is like directionally correct. Actually, that one's a bad example because the frogs are just gay.
That one's almost exactly correct. It was actually they're making the frogs trans. The frogs were actually becoming like girl frogs.
Yeah, because that was actually
he actually wasn't directionally correct enough.
Yeah, that was
like
NPR
normally when you say
before it was
directionally
Alex
correct,
Jones.
what you mean is like they're overshooting.
Yeah.
Like you know,
like
but
these
they're like
people-
more
these
correct
people
than
are
the
de-
median.
these people are
But in
demons.
this case, it was actually like
These people are
he
demons
wasn't
is
going
directionally
far enough.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a couple other things that we should probably touch on.
Sure.
One, so our beautiful sponsor, Polymarket.
Yeah.
They have many markets. However, the ones that I am consistently the most interested in lately have been the ones involving clavicular. And whether, I mean, a lot of this now is whether or not he will be sentenced to prison, whether he's going to get banned by Kick, all of these things. And at first, the reason that I like this was because they were totally mispriced, right? Like, this guy has clearly made it his life's mission to be like he's going to do things that edge arrests. He's going to go around, because like, what is better content than almost getting arrested 45 times, right? It's like that thing we were talking about earlier, where when the crypto streaming was enabled, it took 2 weeks for someone to kill themselves, right? Because they realized that's the most extreme form of content. It's sort of like this: like, if you aren't getting law enforcement involved, how extreme can your content really be? So everyone was mispricing his likelihood of getting arrested or charged or sent to prison. And then he did that thing with like the alligator or whatever, and this was a great call by us, by the way. Like, I was literally on record saying, like, I think this is severely
We did
mispriced.
literally call this. We literally said you hate money if you don't bet on clavicular. Like, you just hate having money. You don't want money, bro.
Because it was trading
We
at like a
also
20%
called the
chance.
Iran. We also called the fucking Iran war a kickoff.
Yeah.
We were like, I haven't really been following this thing. Like, I think you said, like, I haven't really been following this thing, but it appears from Polymarket that something might be about to kick off. And then, like,
It was like
that
the most-
exact day.
That
that
was when we
exact
went
day,
to
I think
war, yeah.
Every strategist on Twitter was like, "There's no way they're gonna go to war today. Today's Shabbat. Like, it's the middle of the day. They're not gonna do that." And it was just completely correct.
The trending up in the odds of the Iran attack was like a big signal, I think. Like, that was like the way the odds started to creep upward. We're like, wow, that's okay. This seems like it's actually going to happen. Like, because there's nothing really changed for the odds to creep up. So I felt like the odds creeping up was like a real signal that it hadn't reached the actual correct point yet.
Did you guys see Hegseth trying to insider trade? Fucking it up, apparently.
No, I didn't.
This is
Lucas,
another
have you
dude.
seen
We
this?
have so many of these Polymarket theses at this point. Like, one of them is just like, you can be a total retard with very low information and just like look at something trending up over time on like a high liquidity market with a bunch of big buys flowing in, and you can say like, somebody probably knows something, right?
Yeah.
And the other one is that you can know everything. Right? Like, you can actually be the person closest to the information, and if you're retarded, you still will lose money doing so.
Yeah.
And Hegseth has proved this correct for us.
Well, I feel like the one thing I fear a little bit with Polymarket is getting rules cucked, right? You know, like you go and you make a bet that's basically correct, but then you don't win because it's like here, like the top thing listed right now, and what I'm looking at Polymarket is U.S. forces enter Iran by March 31st, 1%, by April 30th, 57%, by December 31st, 66%. I really need to know what they mean by U.S. forces enter before I took any position on that.
They usually have the
They have
description
it.
of the exact bet
Yeah,
details
they
down
do.
there. When you were saying like the rules cucking, like the actual rules cucking is that like there's all of these accidental like sub murder markets, like sub.
Yeah.
So there was a market for will clavicular cry on stream by X
Yeah, but
date,
you can
right?
just
And
do
it's
it.
like, well, okay, so there's two ways where this can be insidered. One is that he himself can just bet on it and then cry on stream, right? But the other is, like, I know how to make someone cry. Like, you know how to make someone cry.
I don't think I know how
right?
to make
And, like,
clavicular cry.
dude, I guarantee you, like, if we find this kid and we tie him to a chair and we are allowed to do anything that we want
Well,
to,
yeah.
we could make him cry, right?
Okay.
So, and it's like that's kind of what's being incentivized.
Which,
like,
to be
this is-
clear, we would never do.
Right, we're saying
we would
obviously,
never
like,
do
this
these
is-
things. This is
this
just a
is
way to
not-
kid you know
this is
bit.
what-
this is not good.
Yeah.
But like, if somebody has a risk of like, I don't know, like if somebody really needs the fucking money, man, and they need it more than the jail sentence will be for this, you've now created a market where like the game theoretically
Yeah, of
optimal
course.
decision is to torture clavicular on his live
Yeah.
stream.
Well, that's okay. So there's this, you know, like the rationalists have this big thing that they think that like prediction markets are magic and that they're going to be like, you know, somehow going to like solve society, and then we can have like gay, you know, like gay luxury gay space communism or whatever because of prediction markets. But really what prediction markets are, if they're outside of a certain thing, is they're just markets that are incentivizing people to do the thing, right?
Yes. Like they're creating reality. They're not
Yeah.
actually predicting
Or they're-
reality at a certain point,
It's a
right?
bounty. It's a bounty for doing a thing. It's like a bounty for like there was a guy who like literally there was a guy, I think it was a playoff game or a Super Bowl game. There was a guy who bet on will there be a fan who runs on the field? And the guy who bet on it just ran on the field.
Yeah. Saila had a bit earlier about like, yeah, dude, like I opened a Polymarket prediction bet for like I'm betting $5 that nobody will deliver me a Subway sandwich in the next 3 hours,
Yeah.
right? And oh my God,
Truth
someone
nuke.
delivered the Subway sandwich.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's. I mean, I wonder if you could do that, like Uber.
Well, it's
as a
kind of like
prediction
a
market.
Landian. It's a little bit like hyperstition,
Yes.
right? Like the concept of like a hyperstition.
Yeah. Well,
It's very
it's the
interesting.
same thing. In other words, it's the same thing as like Uber for everything. It's like Uber for making this team win this game. Uber for like yeah, getting a subway sandwich delivered to you.
The thing is, it's like only the most efficient way to do it for like things that are like very illegal, right? Because like if I create a market for will a sandwich appear in my door, like I would have to spend an insane amount of money for a sandwich to appear in my door versus like just zog dashing it, right?
Well, it depends upon
And
depends
then
upon how well monitored the market is, right?
I mean, it's almost always going to be more expensive. Like it's hard to ever imagine a case where it's like cheaper, for sure. Then, and then the problem is like it's only ever like more efficient in like really fucked up markets, right?
Actually, I was thinking it would be really funny if so. Okay, so if let's say you paid the price that would incentivize enough delivery people to do it, and you said I want a subway sandwich delivered to my door. Prediction market, you created the prediction, and then as a result, you ended up getting like 10 Subway sandwiches because like 10 people took the other side of the bet and then delivered the sandwich to make the market resolve in that way.
See, this is like a funny idea that could happen in theory, but it wouldn't actually
No,
happen in
because
practice because of the liquidity
yes,
pool on the market, and they would all notice
they
that
would all
it
notice
was
that they all bid it down. Yeah. That
yeah.
yeah.
But I will say, I do think a lot of the benefit for prediction markets, like, I don't think it's going to be like what the rationalists say, where it changes and revolutionizes society completely and everything is handled. But like, it is fucking awesome because so much of the people that I hate in the world are these people that will go on and in a very low stakes way assert very confidently a totally retarded opinion that they would never actually put money behind.
Yeah.
And it really is anything that just says, put your fucking money behind this, like sack up.
Yeah, agreed.
It's all very good. And having the ability to just say like I'll bet you on that. Like I don't think that you actually believe what you're saying.
Yeah.
I will bet you the opposite of what you're saying, and then having them capitulate instantly and saying like, yeah, you got me. I am a cope poser. That is actually super based, man.
I agree. That's very valuable. Yeah, that's definitely valuable.
I actually still have people to this day because I tweeted out when he said the thing about tariffs saying like the one thing that I know about this is all of the people in my life who have consistently been wrong about every single thing for the last decade are telling me that the tariffs are going to ruin America forever, right? So I just don't care that much because my anti-indicator is saying that it's not going to be that big of a deal.
The funniest thing about the tariffs, and I don't want to like econ post too hard, so I'll be quick on this one, but the funniest thing on the tariffs is that all of these countries have tariffs on America that are higher than the tariffs that America had on these countries, or almost all of them, and certainly like the important ones, right? Like the Chinas, the Europe. Like Europe has insane tariffs on American goods. I don't understand. The contention is literally just like you need to be retarded. Like that's the contention at this point. Like you just have to be retarded. I don't get it, man. Yeah, just a lot of people who like panicked over the tariff stuff was crazy. Also because at first like it was just like, hey, we're just gonna look these over. So like freaking out at that point seems like pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Dude, I think it was just like everyone expects the US to like infinitely provide military and financial resources for everyone else in the world, and if we don't, they just freak.
I think it's actually just that they were looking, and because I saved some particular posts by particular people, and I think it's just that people were looking for a shelling point of why they can oppose Trump. Oh, Trump has done this time because he did this. Like leftists were doing this. Like Matt Iglesias was like, oh, this is the story. Like Gavin Newsom, Matt Iglesias, like all these people were like, oh, this is the official line. The official line is tariffs are going to ruin America.
Remember, like, right before the 2024 election when Matt Iglesias was like, yeah, a lot of people said that, like, deplatforming Trump could, like, not do anything bad, but we did it,
And
and
it
it
had
seems to
no
have worked pretty
downsides
well.
whatsoever.
He said, yeah, there were no
Yes,
discernible
he
downsides
also-
to
He said,
deplatforming
like,
Trump.
no downsides at all, which is just the funniest. Like,
I think he
didn't
literally
even,
said like zero discernible downsides, right? Which is
Yes,
even funnier
it's-
because it implies like the Jaws music playing in the background before Trump's elected.
It's like even
like-
more the baiting of the Steve Saylor bait. It's like that's just like for reality
Yes.
baiting. That's like baiting Trump.
God, it's so silly that this whole thing happened too. Like every time I think about the fact that Trump got like banned from Twitter or something, like this is just peak fake and gayness. We don't often talk about how retarded it is that like all of like libtard media like banned Trump from Twitter for like January 6th.
On January 6th,
they make it
yeah.
this like
Yeah.
yeah, like the idea that we were supposed to care about this January 6th thing as some big act of like insurrection and after we just had like all of the BLM stuff, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like you have an entire summer of like your actual city being meaningfully in danger because of agitated riots that occurred for no reason, really.
I actually found
I think there's
I
something
actually
like
understood that.
there's something really naive and almost like sweet about the people who think like January 6th was a big deal because they're like, well, no, you don't get it. Like they walked into the Capitol.
It was a
building. It's
Capitol
like,
I'll tell you
building,
what it
and you're
is.
like,
the
dude,
Capitol
I'll tell
building.
you what it is.
It's like these people think that like they think that America's like a big game of capture the flag, and if you're like at like it's like a control the point like team deathmatch game of Call of Duty where like if you sit enough of your guys
Capitol,
on the
you
Capitol
win.
building, you can enact like total fascism, and it's like, dude, that's not true. It is true. If you sit enough of your guys on the point, you can win. But like the point is like some data center in like Arlington,
Yeah.
Virginia, or like some like banks like like server somewhere in like upstate New York. Not like the fucking Capitol. Like the Capitol, just it was so. There's like a real sweetness to
Well, that's
like the people,
Yeah.
especially like the Trump people who are like, I really supported Trump, but I can't believe like they attacked the power center of America, the Capitol, right after like a full summer of like just all of America
Well,
on
and how about-
fire
how
from
about
like
they
BLM.
actually attacked the
I
White
think this
House,
is when
too.
they
like, do you remember that?
yeah.
Oh yeah, didn't some guy?
No,
didn't
not some
like,
guy. There was a
left-wing
little
guy go
mob
try to like
that
blow
like tried
up
to
the
like
right wing?
storm the White House. There was like an Antifa mob that tried to storm the White House. I post about it every once in a while.
The MAGA,
it
the
is one of
MAGA
those things
granny,
where, like,
the
they have
MAGA
literally
granny
done-
mogged all of them by actually completing her goal.
Yeah, but they were like
Like they've literally
gonna
done the
kill
equivalent
Trump.
of this
Yeah.
though.
What?
Like they've literally done the equivalent of
Yeah.
this, right? Like it'll be like, "Oh, you don't think January 6th is that big of a deal because," and it's like, dude, you did the same thing. Like you can't
No, they
actually
did
pretend to
worse.
think like I'm not even going to get into the like, "Oh, whose like misdemeanor is bigger or whatever," but like I just think it's a little insane that we're pretending to think that the average person is going to care more about a bunch of boomers storming the
Yeah.
Capitol of these people that they don't know or really care that much about
Than their own
versus
city.
like their actual neighborhood getting burned
Yeah.
down, right? Like there's a reason that I don't use, oh, but you also, Antifa also stored the Capitol as like an equivocation because again,
Because
I don't
nobody cares
believe
about
normal
it.
people care that much about what happens to politicians. I believe normal people care that much about what happens to their homes and their families. And like that happening with BLM was a much bigger deal personally than any amount of Capitol storming or guys wearing reindeer antlers or stealing podiums or whatever the fuck will ever be. And then you also have the added goofiness of like, they'd be like, but all these people died from January 6th. And then it's like all Capitol stormers who got shot.
No.
Like it's all right wingers
There's
who
two,
got
there's two
shot.
things. There's Capitol stormers there's Capitol. Saila, you're muted.
Yeah, it's even funnier than that. Covfefe,
Okay,
you can
so this is
go ahead. I'm sure you know
I don't
what
know
I
if
was
you were
going
going
to
to say this, but actually, the Capitol Police got the vax early because that was back when the vax was not going around, and a bunch of them died of heart
Oh my
attacks after
God.
January 6th. So it's like,
A bunch of them died like a week
yes,
later, and so the official story is
the
that like
stress.
their
The stories
cortisol
were
got
that the
spiked
stress
so
was the
hard.
stress from from January 6th was what caused it.
You don't get it,
Yeah,
bro. The MAGA granny ran up a kill streak of like 7
yeah,
Capitol Police officers by
by
spiking their
spiking their
cortisol
cortisol.
so hard that they
Yeah,
spontaneously died 3 days later from
yeah.
myocarditis.
Okay, so I was
Super
only
funny.
following the Capitol storming thing like when it was happening, and I remember Ashley Babbitt getting
Yeah.
shot. Like that's my exclusive understanding of the deaths, right? Like I remember live streamers showing us the police opening the gates, and then I remember Ashley getting shot, and that's exactly like that's where I
Dude,
tapped
I
out.
really do wonder, like, who do you think is like the son or like the grandson of the MAGA granny? Like, do we know who that is?
Oh, the one who turned her in? Who knows? Oh,
No, the old like grandma mag, the one who's like famous for the photo where she looks like old and she's just in
I
the
don't know.
Capitol.
I don't have any idea. So I actually figured out why the libs, like not well, maybe not all of them, but I think a lot of them. I think I actually figured out why they're like so upset, quote unquote upset about January 6th. And there's this post, there was this interview with Bill Maher and David Mamet. You know, David Mamet, the guy who wrote Glengarry Glen Ross and like a lot of other really good like movies. But he's like this like right wing Hollywood guy. And Bill Maher goes and declares that, like, what do you think here? I have a quote from him. Oh, come on. Just wait a second. If he didn't say, okay, yes, what do you think January 6th was about? It was about people who did not hear their leader say, as every other leader in this country has said after an election, okay, I lost. We welcome the new guy. We had disagreements, but now we're all Americans. And I realized what it was. They realized that they stole the election. And they like, this is actually just them feeling not like guilty, but this is them like realizing that they have to like attack. They have to attack to disarm the people who were like, yeah, the election was obviously stolen. It was an obviously fraudulent election. And so this is their way of disarming that attack, because they never like just go on defense. They always attack when there's a chance for them to attack.
Dude, I have to
Go ahead.
counter signal here. I think these people do just believe the whole. I think a lot of these people legitimately believe the whole thing, man. Like, do you not every once in a while like catch some like extremely recently like former Democrat on Twitter being like, "Wait a second, I just looked into this like George Floyd situation," or like
Yeah.
just anything in general. Like, I just looked into this and like not even like necessarily like, oh, I totally agree with like, you know, the right wing on this, which is like fine. You don't have to agree like across the board, but like, you know, it doesn't seem like the news was entirely honest. And they start like re-examining all of their beliefs, and they do just live in like an entirely, and I think that's like the real takeaway of the last like 8 years, basically since 2016, and since like the media freaked out about Trump winning, which is like these people just live in an alternate
Yeah.
reality. Like they do. They just live in a different reality than you. And we can say that you live in a different reality than them, but like clearly you just don't interpret the events occurring the same way, because you no longer even believe that the same event is happening, which is like a massive breakdown in like a democratic republic, right? Because it's not like, oh, we think this guy was good or this guy was bad. It's like we think entirely different things about who this guy is or like what he did.
Yeah. But I also think that maybe that could, like, I don't see how that gets them the emotional punch of it. I think the only emotional punch that January 6th has for them is because they believe that it's a reaction to them stealing the election and that they have to attack it. And it's maybe not even something that they openly believe or that they let themselves understand that they believe. And I believe it's very complicated. Like it's a very complicated part of their psychology. Like they never actually admit what they believe, and they know this, like, and it's like the same way that they know about like racism and crime stats, and they all know all these things, but at the same time they don't know them, you know.
I think my understanding of it is that like the reason that they crashed out so hard over January 6th is because that they realized that the emotion that the January 6th people feel is like in some way like legitimate
Yes.
and not a
Yes.
hoax, right? Like they maybe they don't even recognize like the legitimacy of the election stealing or whatever, but they're like, "Oh fuck, like this is the core of the other side's like true
Yeah.
belief, right? Like we are coming up against their sacred cow here, so it has to be
Yeah.
killed."
Okay. So that's all right. So I'll put that. Yeah. I feel like that's saying the same thing because
It's
yeah.
saying the same thing, but less
Yes.
specifically, right? It's just a lower
Yeah. Because
resolution version of the thing, but
yeah.
it's something that makes much more sense to happen
Yeah.
instinctually, right? Like people instinctually recognize what the bastion of like their enemy's power is and like what things they have to attack in order to dismantle that ideology, uh, even if they don't really think through exactly
Yeah.
what it may
Okay.
be.
I'll buy that. Because I'm not super wedded to them because it's always hard to say when they have a factual belief about something because they never, they always lie.
I don't think they do it. I don't think they actually
Yeah.
believe anything.
That's the other thing. Yes.
Because like I can very much so like antenna person channel this like just totally like polemically oriented rhetorical worldview where you are just constantly adopting what you think would be the most effective ideological framework for advancing whatever you actually want without ever actually
Yeah.
saying what you want. Like I can totally do that. I think everyone who is in any form of media eventually figures this one out, and it's why people broadly see anyone who has ever produced any media as like a disingenuous weasel, rat fucker, etc. Uh, but like I think it's also another thing that people do in their own social lives without realizing it, and they just don't like you know. Like you talk to your average person mediating a relationship dispute, they're also doing this. They're not being fully
Yes.
honest, right? They're getting away with the most that they think they can right now. They're not saying what they actually want is the
Yeah,
end
no, you're right
goal.
about that too. Yeah, I think it's a routine thing that a lot of people do, all the time. Yeah.
But most people don't notice it because most people aren't on camera watching themselves or listening to themselves speak. So they don't ever have anyone call them out on this. And they also don't experience such massive shifts because if somebody starts crashing out at them for shifting on like an interpersonal basis, they can also just leave and find a
Yes.
new nest,
Yeah.
right?
Look, I think there's like some tail chance that this is just like 17-dimensional chess from Trump.
Dude, I've
And that
heard
it's like
this
a big
one
China
before,
pincer.
man. I don't want to shit in your lemonade, man, but I have so heard this
It's
one.
just like a huge China pincer, man. Because you got Venezuela's cheap oil out of the way. Now you're doing Iran, Russia. The Ukrainians hit Russia, and I don't think so. After the Ukrainians hit the big pipeline sending oil to Europe, um, I think the Americans probably put a pretty hard leash on them, and so I think the
Oh, the
fact that
Nord when they hit the
Ukraine
Nord Stream.
like happened to hit Russia was almost certainly like authorized by the Americans, and so China is still an extremely net importer of energy, like to an extreme degree, and so if you hit Iran, you hit Russia, you hit Venezuela. That's like basically all of their like the people who are forced to sell to China at below market prices. Because the other thing is China, by not sanctioning any of those countries, gets
Yeah.
super cheap power, right? Because they get to buy Russian gas, they buy Iranian oil, they buy Venezuelan oil, which like sucks in quality, but whatever. You're buying it like far
Right.
below market because they can't sell it to anybody else. And so I do think there's like I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just nuclear grade copium, but like I think you can look at this and find like a congruent military plan that isolates China and cuts off a lot of their
Yeah,
sources.
you're not wrong. But the thing, and that is right. The question is just, the question is, what is the goal? And the goal is like, okay, so it's to put a pincer move on China. But like, honestly, who cares about pincer moving China if it costs you the ability to like, if you put the Democrats in if you put Gavin Newsom as president, who cares if you cut off China? The United States is done for. You know?
I still think if Trump, I think it's like the tariffs
Yeah.
right now where people are panicking. But like if he's able to turn this, like if you don't have American boots on the ground in like a major, like SEAL
Right.
Team 6 does not count. If you don't have like Marine boots
I think even the
on
Marines. I don't even think the Marines
Iranian
would count either, to
soil,
be
I
honest,
think
because I think that they've threatened. There's one particular island that they do a lot of petroleum in either refining or like I think extraction and shipping. There's one particular island where they have a lot of petroleum things that they're publicly talking about taking over.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I do think at a certain point, it does start making you think, like, man, how like viable is democracy if like
Yeah,
I'm on a
it's not.
2-year, like, every 2 years I need to like fucking convince the people who
Yeah.
like panic
Right, like I
all the
can't do
fucking
anything.
time.
I can't do anything that might be short term
Yep.
bad because every like 2 years I need to spend 6 months doing a PR
Well, that's why you always
campaign.
have to pump the market, man. The markets can't go down because you would just lose every
Right, but
election.
that is a huge problem. I mean, that's a huge problem, and I think that's a huge problem for democracy in general.
Huge problem. Yeah, I mean, China gets a
Yeah.
huge advantage there where they can think in long terms. There's the really funny Nixon quote where he goes to China and he asks,
Oh.
like, what do you think of the
Too soon
French
to tell.
Revolution? And yeah, he goes, well, it was a mistake in translation. He thought there was like some student protests in France at the time. And so the Chinese guy thinks he's talking about like something that happened 3 months ago. And he goes like, too soon to tell. And then Nixon thinks that these guys like are talking about an event that happened 200 years ago. And they're like, too soon to
Like, holy
tell.
shit. This is the-
Which is also like an epic
Yeah.
or a farmer, just totally epic or a farmer moment. Like, I just think that's a good one. Like, at some point, you should say that. At some point, like, just keep that one in your back pocket. You know,
That-
You're on a
yeah,
date with
every
a girl,
time-
it's just
every
like, oh,
time
what
I
do you think
display,
about
like,
whatever.
Heinous historical illiteracy, which like frequently people will ask me about like some historical event, and I never know because I just am historically illiterate to like very
You're a
high
man
level.
of the present, Lucas.
Yeah, I'll just be like, yeah, it's too soon to tell, man. Like, there's really
No,
no way.
it's so good though, because it makes you seem like 1,000 times
Oh my
wiser than them. Like, oh, fool that you are, you need to like come to some conclusion
Lucas has
right
two-
now. Like, my timelines are measured on
Lucas
like,
has two time
millennia.
frames. It's either too soon to tell, or I don't know. I forgot about that. That's too far in the past. So therefore, he gets away with not having an
Basically,
opinion
yeah.
about any historical event whatsoever.
I just feel like it's not something that I don't know. Like, it's much more important to just figure out like personal trends and the way that people could actually
Yeah.
act, right? Like, there's a guy out there who like understands every military movement and all of these things during World War II, but also he will be like, "Oh my God, how could anybody have supported Hitler or something?" And it's like you've just completely fucked up. Like, you don't even understand the
Yeah.
point of history,
Yes.
right? You're like, it doesn't make any sense to me that a nation would.
Hold on,
it's
let
like
me
what-
glaze Lucas. There's some guy out there that has like perfect knowledge of all of history, but Lucas is like, so what's your credit score, buddy? Mine's an 830. and then the guy like, you.
It's like looks like you are on the wrong side of it on this case.
Yeah, it looks
You're
like
on the wrong
you
side
just
of history.
focused on fucking
but you-
history. You
You
nerd.
look
I
at
have
him,
an
you
830
show him your credit score, and you say those who do not study history are doomed to repeat it. I'm at 800. I'm at 841 now. By the way, my credit score is 841 out of 850. I'm so close to a perfect.
I like how you know that nobody knows the max score. Like, normal people don't know the max score.
No, because I've told
so you have to
so many
mention the
people
max.
this, and they're like, is that like they're just like they register that it's higher than theirs, but they don't understand that it actually has like a cutoff.
Well, you should just say some made up number. You should be like, my credit
Like
score is actually
12.
like,
I got like a
add like a letter
1200
too. Be
C.
like, my credit score is like a 930.
It's like the people who say, "Yeah, my IQ is like 164," like completely unaware of the fact that there's no IQ test that is certified by like any sort of respected body in the world that goes above 160.
Yes. But the thing is, people believe those guys, especially if they add a level of complexity. Like, especially if, like, instead of saying, like, oh, my IQ is 167, they go, like, my verbal IQ is 167 on this test and 171 on this test, depending on, like, you add some complexity that makes it sound like you
That's
know
like
what
the
you're
classic
talking
thing
about.
about liars too. It's like you add details, you add like embellishing details. Yeah.
Yeah. You should just tell women that you have, like, a AC, 930.
No,
Like,
just
credit score or
start giving
whatever.
yourself bond ratings. Just say my bonds are actually AAA rated. I don't even
Like,
have
I'm
a credit
AAA.
score anymore. I just have a bond rating.
You could do this with your sperm
AAA
too.
does
You could
sound
say
like
like, yeah,
way
from
better.
my period sperm donoring in college, I received a AAA sperm rating. Like, I have the most motile semen of all time. Like,
Start doing like fake Japanese ratings, like an
Oh, S
S,
tier. I have
like
S
a triple
tier
S
credits.
rating.
Yes, triple-
the credit union came back and
It's over
they printed out a
9,000.
little tier list and they put my driver's license ID photo at the very top.
Did I ever tell you that I was creating a PDF on how to fraud your IQ for a while? Like all of the things that like normal people will do that will trick other normal people into thinking that their IQ is much higher than it is. One of them is like naming the specific tests and doing things like this. The other is like you just can't, like, everybody tries to go above 160. I don't know why. It doesn't exist. Like you're not you.
Well,
you
the
have
thing
to
is,
be
none of the
using-
tests are certified to go like it loses accuracy over like 150. It's just not.
Well, it loses
other thing is,
accuracy anytime
if
you
you
go.
ever meet someone who actually has like 148 or whatever IQ, like these people are invariably almost always like huge losers and like don't know how to navigate society in any way at all, and like just generally.
He's coping.
It's generally not an enviable
coping.
position to be in. I don't.
This
think.
is here. Let me prove to the audience how I know that this is just entirely invented. How do you know that they have a 148 IQ? And how do you know that nobody
there's,
else
like
you know
people
who's like?
who are like IO medalists or whatever.
But like, how do you know that nobody else you've met who is functional doesn't also have 148
Well,
IQ?
yeah, that's true. There's like a selection bias that like the normal guy with 148 IQ is just
Basically,
not
what
saying
I'm
it to
saying is
people.
like you found some
Yes.
autistic guy and you were like, yeah, this autistic guy has autism.
It's the Mensa
But, dude,
problem. It's
the
the
thing
Mensa
is, like,
problem. Because the Mensa problem is just if you find the guys who are in Mensa, the guys in Mensa are like just dysfunctional in a lot of ways because you don't have to have a club to meet like the smartest people in the world if you're like doing smart people things in life.
Anyway, guys, we're going to call it there. If you made it all the way through, thank you for listening to another episode of the Plausibly Deniable Experience. And you are spiritually obligated to subscribe, actually, because you made it all the way to the end. So thank you, Godspeed, we love you, and good night.
This is a public service announcement
This is
to let you know that Spurgler Alkalite is an ugly fucking. I have his picture, and I'm going to post it so you can be ran off like Chatticus.